Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. Happy to see all of you here today. I'm David Vogel, Judge Executive. These are our magistrates, and this is Holly Prain, our secretary. I do believe in the entire 19 years I've been on the fiscal court that this is one of the largest crowds we've ever had here. So happy to have all of you here today. You're the citizens, and we work for you, and we're happy to welcome you to the Fiscal Court Chamber. If you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Holly Prain, will you please call the roll?
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Woosley.
Here and proudly representing the 3rd District.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins. Here. Magistrate Dye.
Present.
Magistrate Logston.
Present.
And Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all the members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Judge, I need to add an item to the agenda, please.
All right.
Under committee reports, I have a committee report from the Parks Committee on fireworks contract for this year.
All right, we'll put that right above personnel actions there. All right.
Judge, under contracts and resolutions, I'd like to remove E from the agenda today, please.
Say that again, please.
Under contracts and resolutions, I'd like to remove letter E off the agenda today, please.
Letter D.
E.
E.
The-
Oh, all right, okay.
And that's the
We can-
proposed police station.
Right, we may not have enough time to discuss that today, so we can push that forward, all right? Is there anything else? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Is there a motion to approve our minutes from our last meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Judge, I have one correction.
All right,
On page 2, 1, 2, 3 lines down, motion made by Magistrate Woosley and seconded by Magistrate Jeffries to approve Natchman for another term. There's no first name there. So we probably just need to add his first name.
all right. You have it? All right, thank you. Are there any corrections or additions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Time now for public comment. That's the time during our meeting when anyone who would like to speak to the fiscal court is able to do so. We allow each person who would like to speak up to 4 minutes. We ask you to state your name and address when you come forward. And I know there's a lot of people here. We all realize you're here to discuss the proposed data center. We do have a item on our agenda later today, which would be a memorandum to propose to the Planning Commission that an ordinance be enacted to prohibit data centers for at least 120 days while the issue is being discussed. Effectively, because of the proposal that we have here, will go to the Planning Commission in May, and then the Planning Commission will provide that to the fiscal court again, assuming they pass it, and I'm fairly optimistic they will. It would come to the fiscal court in June, and any addition or change to the ordinance structure of the county takes 60 days, or 30 days that is, or 2 meetings. So the 120-day moratorium that's being proposed here will not actually take effect until the 1st of July, and so which essentially adds more, the 120 days would start at that point. So it puts more than 120 days, maybe 140 or 160 days into the delay while the fiscal court investigates and looks at this subject further. So So that's what's coming up. So everybody here is welcome to speak. We'll limit you to 4 minutes. I'd only ask that we know what some of the issues are in an agricultural area, noise, pollution, perhaps interfering with Harrods Creek, traffic on 53. We know what they all are, so everybody's welcome to speak, but I'd ask you just from a practical point of view, if everybody not come up and repeat all the same points, it would be helpful. But everybody will have a chance to speak. All right, first speaker is?
I'm Larry Kaiser, 3000 Maple Leaf Drive. I took PTO to be here today. I'm glad that I did. Based on this turnout, I think some of you might get yelled at, and I don't know if I'm under oath, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little excited. Just last week, I declared myself as Judge Vogel's least favorite constituent, but someone here might give me a run for the money. I don't say that to be mean. I say it because the public feels unheard. They feel like decisions are being made behind closed doors without transparency. They feel like there's a perception, whether it's true or not, that some people might stand to personally benefit from this deal. That's the issue here. It's been brewing for a long time before this data center came into the picture, but maybe that's the spark that lit the fire. I'm not the first person to say the good old boy network. You guys have heard it, whether it's true or not. Again, it doesn't matter. One of the things that keeps this perception alive is the daytime meetings. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. These meetings need to be held when the public can actually attend them. We're all here because we care. A lot of the folks couldn't be. They're working, they've got kids, they've got jobs. They don't have time to show up at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday to find out if their water bill is going to skyrocket from a giant server farm. Now, I know Judge Vogel's arguments. I've heard them. They're not new. He's going to say we'd have to pay staff overtime. Fine, do it. If your public process is inconvenient for the public, then your public process is broken. And frankly, starting later in the day doesn't mean you need to add more hours. It means shifting them. It's not rocket science. It's just a calendar. Maybe you all could ask Doge for some efficiencies on that. The second item is lawyers and specialists charge more in the evenings to come here. Sure, but we're not here for the convenience of lawyers. We're here for the public. The rare occasion that someone might have to pay a lawyer a little bit more should not outweigh the right for the public to participate in their government. And honestly, if you don't want to go full evening, meet us halfway. One daytime meeting, one evening meeting a month. That's not unreasonable. That's basic accessibility. And if this is a wild idea, Zoom still exists. We used it during COVID. It worked. There's no reason to stop it or not bring it back. Remote participation isn't some sci-fi future. It's a basic expectation. If you want to talk about lawyers' fees, I'll also even argue that it would be less for a lawyer to participate remotely at 2 p.m. than in person. So today I'm asking everyone who comes up here to take a second, if you agree, and share your views on the data center, but also let them know if you'd like evening meetings, because this is foundational to rebuilding trust. You might not think that perception matters, but it does. If people believe their government is hiding things or working in the shadows, then every project you bring forward will be met with suspicion, even the good ones. Do you want to fix that? Evening meetings are a simple way to prove that you want people involved. Two more items. In regards to the ICE contract that's under consideration, if anyone, even one person doesn't have due process, then no one does. I'll repeat that. If anyone, even one person, does not have due process, then no one does. The other item, and I've mentioned it before, but if this body is interested in growing the economy and doesn't want a data center, legalize cannabis. We can keep farm work and raise money. So that's all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Amy Alvey, Oldham County Clerk. I'm not here to talk about the data center, so maybe it'll lighten the mood just a hair for you guys for a minute. Just to let everyone know that April is National Donate Life Month. This is a organization that's very near and dear to me and my family regarding organ donation. You can support this by going online on Facebook or their website. You can support it also by buying, when you go to renew your tags through my office, there is a Donate Life plate that you can get. Rather than paying the $21 registration fee, you can do that for $44. I'm also part of the this program, which is Donate Support Account Fund Committee. All of the donations that are received, we help assist families that come to Kentucky, whether they have a loved one that has been killed in a car accident and they need someplace to stay for hotel stays, meals, and things of that nature. But I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. That, April is Donate Life Month. You can go and update your driver's license when you go to renew, which I know that's a sore subject for a lot of people, trying to renew your driver's license in Oldham County. But you can update that information when you renew your driver's license. And then if you don't do it that way, just please let your loved ones know what your wishes are, because no one wants to have to make that decision on their own at that time of at stage of their life. And then there's also another organization called Be the Match. It's a lot less invasive. You can be a living donor through Donate Life, but with Be the Match, it's just a simple cheek swab where you get tested to see if you are available to do a bone marrow transplant. My daughter recently did this for a patient of hers at Brown Cancer Center to see if she was a match. She was not a match for him, but she was a match for a total stranger in Texas. So we flew about almost soon to be a year ago, and she donated her stem cells to a complete stranger at the age of 23. So it's a very good program. And like I said, they take care of all of the expenses, and there are so many people out there that need an organ donation or a stem cell transplant, and it's something that we can do to help share a little bit of our life with someone else. So, thank you.
Tim Wakefield, Oldham County Sheriff. I've got a handout on the monitor. Just wanted to say that April 26th is going to be a drug take back day here in Oldham County. We'll be working in conjunction with the DEA. The county police will be hosting a drop-off location at their office at 1855 North Highway 393, and we'll be hosting a location at the LaGrange Firehouse in Buckner and at the Kroger in LaGrange in the parking lot out near the bank. So it'd be a great opportunity to get rid of any expired or old drugs that you have at your house, prescription drugs. So just come out on Saturday the 26th and drop off all the old prescriptions you have in your house. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Don Erler. I've lived in Oldham County for 52 years. My family lives in a historic home.
May I have you state your address, please, Don?
4005 Old Highway 53, LaGrange. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
My family and I live in a historic home in a development that's very close to the proposed data center. I'm here to speak on behalf of myself, but also on behalf of my neighbors. We live in a development called Waters Farms. It was developed 50 years ago by Clore and Duncan Realtors, signed off by Junie Clore and Tommy Duncan, God bless their souls, and by a fellow by the name of Bob Jones, who happens to own the land that we're discussing here as well. The developers have not told us a lot about what they really intend to do with this property, but I want to address two very important areas of concern. One is we've made some mistakes in the past. In 1989, 1990, Wave TV built a tower on a property, 175 acres on US 42. It's the tallest structure in Kentucky. In 1999, after WHAS on this particular farm was prohibited from building the same tower, which they wanted to do, they asked if they could build a Doppler radar tower on that property. Both of those improvements, if you wish to say that, are no longer used because the technology is obsolete. But they still stand there, and they still are symbols of what the country in Oldham County looks like. There's a lot of commentary about data centers, the fact that their longevity is probably 15 or 20 years. The last thing we need in Oldham County is for somebody to build one and leave the skeleton behind, just like WAVE did and WHAS did on those particular farms out there. The other point that I wish to make is that Oldham County is not prepared to consider a data center, whether it be on Highway 53 or anywhere else right now. A data center is not mentioned in the comprehensive plan. A data center is not mentioned in the zoning ordinance. So what these developers have done is they have filed for a conditional use permit where there does happen to be a one-line item that said you can have a conditional use permit for a private utility. How they define this as a private utility is far beyond any comprehension that I have. But you know, this particular facility is going to use as much power as LG&E can generate up there in Trimble County. So we really need to look at that. We're really not in position to do anything with that at this point. This is not the time to even consider an application, including the one that was filed by WHP 4 days ago in an attempt to beat this moratorium. The current application needs to be included in the proposed moratorium because we don't have the proper rules to consider an application, and we don't have adequate knowledge of the impacts of data centers in our community. We just don't know enough yet. My home that I'm in, have been in for 36 years, is my final resting place. Should not be with turbines droning, lights blaring in my eyes, and the waters at Harrods Creek being polluted all the way to the Ohio River. I implore you to put this moratorium in place, including the application that's currently pending. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Michael Slider. I'm representing Kentucky Citizens for Democracy. I live at 7004 Colton Road, Crestwood, Kentucky. Not a big fan of for-profit prisons. You all creates a perverse incentive to fill up prisons. We are not a for-profit, but we sure are acting like it right now. We have quite the money-making operation going on here. In 2018, we opened up a $23 million facility, including 338 beds with a capacity for 500. We had never had more than 162 before that, even with our agreement with the federal government that goes back to the late 90s. So now we have to fill this thing up to pay for our $23 million facility and its $8.1 million operating budget. So we see the real jackpot. $73 a day for federal prisoners versus the $40 we get a day for prisoners from Henry, Trimble, and Scott counties. At some point, I'm not sure the exact date, we start bringing in immigration prisoners. Now here's a chance to make the real money. So now our Sheriff's Department Corrections Facility are teaming together, as Jailer Jeff Tyndall said at the March 4th fiscal court meeting, they work as a team to run an ICE taxi service all over the Midwest, Chicago, Kansas, other places. Have you all been watching the news? ICE has been making the headlines every day for all the wrong reasons. They are a rogue agency that has no regard for constitutional or human rights. And this is the agency we are trying to make money off of. And now we're spending $238,000 more on a new van and a bus so we can transport even more immigration prisoners. How do we decide that our jailers and deputies were going to be used in this capacity? I thought we paid their salaries to serve the citizens of Oldham County, not run an ICE taxi service. Who decided this is how our resources were going to be used? How do we have any way of knowing that all the guys we ended up with in our detention center have had due process with ICE's track record right now? Did anyone do their homework on the 287G agreements? They have a very troubled history. Under the jail enforcement model that we signed off on, ICE can send us a detainer on anyone they want to, and they train our guys to issue the warrant to hold them. There is no third party involved like a judge or magistrate. A federal court ruled in 2016 this is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Maryland currently has legislation on the books to not allow any 287G agreements in their state. Did you all know any of this before you agreed to fund this operation? Right now, the Oldham County Detention Center is listed on ICE's website as an ICE detention center, not something I'm proud of. One of these days, all these illegal activities by ICE are going to blow up in their face. This is going to come to an end one day. Do you all really want to be remembered as the government officials that facilitated this relationship so we can make some money? We could make money by reselling the illegal weapons we confiscate off the street too. It doesn't make it right. Most of you may not care about what I'm talking about. You love the money we're bringing in and have no qualms with this relationship with ICE. However, even if there are one or two of you that are uncomfortable with us making money off this arrangement, have the courage to speak up. We want this operation defunded. And by the way, the original agreement was, I don't like the way some things are being presented, the original agreement was initiated by our Sheriff's Department. When I went to the ICE 287 webpage on March 18th, the Sheriff's Department was listed as the participating agency. I visited Sheriff Wakefield personally on the 19th, March 19th, and he gave me the reasons he initiated the agreement. I go back a couple of weeks later, and it has been changed on the Oldham County, on the website, the ICE website, to the Oldham County Detention Center, with both agreements signed off on by our jailer, Jeff Tyndall. In the April 11th Louisville Public Radio article, Sheriff Deputy Jim Acquisto, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing, acted like they had never initiated an agreement at the Sheriff's Office with ICE. What is going on here? Why does the Sheriff's Department now deny all involvement with this agreement? Maybe these are some questions that you all should be asking. You all will probably be hearing a few more people today who will explain how our Hispanic community, which is a hardworking community here in Oldham County, just having the knowledge that we have an agreement, a relationship with ICE, affects their everyday life. Thank you all for your time, and thank you for your service to Oldham County.
Can I have 2 more minutes for a different topic? Okay. I just want to go on the record and be perfectly clear. The Oldham County Sheriff's Office has never had an agreement with the ICE, ever. We have no agreement under 287G. The jailer's agreement is totally separate. People don't realize in the state of Kentucky, the Sheriff's Office and the jail are 2 totally different entities. That agreement was in place before ICE ever talked to me about serving as task force officers to help them serve administrative warrants on the street. We have never entered into an agreement. It was an error on their website. We told them it was an error on their website, and they changed it. I'm tired of the false narrative that's going on in this county. If we do sign an agreement under 287G, it would be a very limited role in what they do. In fact, all we will do is serve an administrative warrant when there's an NCIC hit in the system for the 700,000 that are already in there. And it will expedite the process for the county police and the LaGrange police, because they will have to wait for ICE to respond to pick those administratively due processed people up and transport them to the jail. If my people are deputized, they will be able to pick those people up, drive 7 miles to the jail, and drop them off. It will not tie our officers up for several hours on the street. That is the truth. And I told you that when you were in my office. I told you we had no agreement. I told you exactly that. And it continues to be a false narrative. That is the truth, and I want it to be said. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Rob Houchins. I live at 1400 Yeager Lane. For Oldham County, I served on the Board of Adjustments for Oldham County for more than a decade. Sorry about that. I served on the Board of Adjustments in Oldham County for more than a decade. I served previously under Judge Murner, and then Judge Vogel was appointed me as well. When we were serving on that board, some of the things we listened to was, I want my garage to be a foot inside the line of where it needs to be. We were not allowed to approve that unless there was a particular reason why it had to. We couldn't move a garage a foot without doing the things that said there's a very specific reason why we have to do those things. Then we would do things like CUPs, conditional use permits, which is on the table and what we've talked about. When we did those kind of things, what we were looking at was listed items. And when we talk about items that are listed, I'm sorry, data center's not in our comprehensive plan. I applaud the fact that we're trying to put moratoriums in place. I applaud the fact that we're trying to find out information. Here's 2 things that I would like to say. One, if I go to the store and I say I want beef, I can buy my pound of beef or more and stick it in my cart and stick it in my bag. What we're talking about here is not something that's in our cup. It's not something in our comprehensive plan. And it's not just putting a pound of beef in my cart or in my bag. It's putting a herd of cattle in my cart or in my bag. It doesn't fit. We need to make sure that we take into account everything that does fit. It's not been taken into account that it's in there. So if we could take the time, as I think we're trying to do, and figure that out first and figure out how it goes to comprehensive plan, I think I would applaud that effort. Second point, we have a CFO on staff here in the county. His name is Stan Clark. And when I asked Stan, have you seen all the numbers for taxes? His answer was no. If we're going to talk about benefits that supposedly this data center and others could have, then let's have real facts. Let's have somebody like Stan who knows how to look at numbers, who knows how the tax laws work, and let's figure out what the real numbers are before we start saying that's the huge benefit some people are hanging their hat on. Thank you.
My name is Barry Hampton. I live at 5103 Fairway Court, LaGrange. What I'd like to say is probably a little different than most everybody going to be here. I've lived in the county almost 80 years. I grew up on Highway 53. I have not made my mind up on the data center, but I've probably spent too much time on Facebook. Some of the things that have been posted, I understand how misinformation can run rampant, but there's a couple things I'd like to say in defense of not just fiscal court, but the county in general. I want to better clear something up. I am on the planning commission, but I'm here strictly as a concerned citizen. I know almost everybody on this commission. On the magistrate here. Don't know them all well, but I know some of them well. It concerns me and absolutely upsets me that so many people are acting like some of these people basically have been called crooks. I don't believe that. They're all elected. You had a chance to vote for your own magistrate, your own judge, and I respect these people. Now, the good old boy, going to about the good old boy network. The good old boy network may or may not exist, but if it does exist, it's mainly because people have been fortunate enough to make a lot of money and they can afford to buy these properties. If I could afford to buy something that costs $4 or $5 million, I would. But I don't think that makes it a good old boy network. I think this will certainly be looked at over a long period of time. And I think things will be done fairly, whether they're done at this site or another site, and it will not be rushed. I can promise you that. And I wish people would take a deep breath and trust these folks a little bit more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nathan Oberg. I proudly represent We Are Oldham County. It's a focus group that we started on Facebook. We have over 3,000 members, and
Address.
my address, thank you, Judge, is 1414 Yeager Lane, LaGrange, Kentucky. I represent the 3,000 people of We Are Oldham County. We put a petition together, and currently we have 2,855 verified signatures on that. We are deeply concerned with a hyperscale data center moving into Oldham County, and deeply concerned with the process as it's been going. I thank you for your time and considering this next request. I request a motion to enact a moratorium. I think we can all agree that when we wake up in the morning, we have a certain
understanding that when I roll over and look outside, I'm not going to see a Walgreens there. The reason for that is it's currently not zoned for a Walgreens. Right now, when I wake up in the morning, and if this passes and goes through, and we have a hyperscale data center, either on Highway 53 or another location, somebody's going to wake up and not see a Walgreens. They're going to wake up and see a Mall of America. This is an outrage. We need to have safeguards in place to protect our citizens, our rights, and our property values, and this is what we're fighting for. I appreciate your time here today, and thank you for your service and your attention to detail as we go forward with this moratorium. And I thank you, Judge.
Good afternoon. My name is Susan Griffin Ward. My address is 10610 Taylor Farm Court. I am here today representing Kentucky Waterways Alliance, which is a nonprofit that works across the Commonwealth to protect, restore, and celebrate Kentucky's 90,000 miles of waterways. We consider Kentucky's waterways to be our greatest natural resource. The proposed development is bordered by Harrods Creek and Ash Run in a residential and agricultural area populated with farms and homes. The construction and operation of the data center will have significant impacts on Harrods Creek and Ash Run, as well as the water resources of Oldham County. As a rule, data centers have a detrimental impact on the environment, neighboring properties, and water quality. Before moving forward, environmental impact studies should be conducted to evaluate the consequences these projects will have on Oldham County's water quality and resources, the host community, as well as all of their downstream neighbors and communities. As we know, all waters flow downstream, and everyone downstream from this project will be impacted as well. Water usage is a primary environmental and community impact of this project. Medium-sized data centers, 5 to 20 megawatts, can require up to 3,000 gallons of water a day, and just that amount would put incredible stress on the Oldham County Water District. Based on the public plan, this data center appears to be a 600 megawatt facility. The water impact is going to be incredible. Harrods Creek and Ash Run were previously protected under Kentucky's definition of waters of the Commonwealth, but are now vulnerable to development impacts due to the recently passed Senate Bill 89, which limits Kentucky's jurisdiction over water bodies to the federal definition of navigable water, with few exceptions. Although this law has not been implemented yet because of concerns about the affordability and the appropriations to implement SB 89, there are still going to be many, many questions about protecting Ash Run and Harrods Creek as part of this project. KWA, Kentucky Waterways Alliance, prioritizes community involvement in all of our watershed planning and development work, and we advocate for similar community engagement as a bedrock for all planning and development, especially when it comes to projects like this. KWA considers, we have a tagline where we say, Kentucky is water. We also believe that water is our common wealth and should be protected, especially in this situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Saliga at 3727 Valley Creek Drive, District 3. I've been here almost 30 years in Oldham County. In District 3, I've been living in Oldham County almost 30 years. I'm a professional engineer in Kentucky, civil engineer, environmental engineer in Kentucky and 6 other states. I have significant experience in siting projects, not data centers, but big projects just like this, environmentally and for civil engineering. And I understand the need for tax revenue. I understand host community benefits. I also understand tax incentives. And when we talk about all this stuff in this big project, I just want to say one thing is that for a big giant project like this, approving this or doing this under a conditional use permit is absolutely wrong. It's just absolutely wrong. It has to be done through planning and zoning, through community engagement, through all that stuff. I've been on both sides of the fence in the sense that I sit up here and everybody yells at me, or I sit down here and I yell at everybody else. You know, I totally understand that. It's just, you can't sneak this through, or you can't be like, oh, I'm a developer, and I have clients that way. I'm a developer and I can get it through a conditional use permit, so let's just do it, and maybe nobody will notice. And then I've got 8 5-acre buildings sitting in the middle of Oldham County that it's just, I don't know. My point is, it's just the wrong way to do it. It's got to be out in public, and I totally agree with the moratorium to push this back so that we learn about this and we know what's going on so that we can make informed decisions. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but to sneak it through under a conditional use permit is just, it's the wrong way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, hold on just a second, please.
Can you repeat your name
We
again?
didn't get your name clearly. How'd you spell your last name?
S-A-L-I-G-A.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Judge?
You just have to speak, everybody has to speak right into the microphone so
Will
everyone can hear.
indeed, sir.
Pardon?
Thank you for coming to our meeting the other night. I appreciate that. Right there, eh? I was a pilot for 40 years. I don't know how many co-pilots told me, speak up, will you? We can't hear you. Well, I'm deaf as a post now. I applaud
Well,
this
we'll
board.
get your name and address.
Yeah, Dave Oberg. I live at 1410 Jaeger Lane, right next to that fellow right down there. There's a tendency to look at this as not in my backyard. Well, I spent the last week and a half trying to figure out what a data center was. I spent a lot of time on the internet, and it's convinced me that this is not right for our county. If you take the satellite view of our county and look closely, there's no place you can put it that somebody isn't going to be hurt by this. You've heard about the pollution standards that are not going to be met. The values and taxes that we are going to receive, maybe, maybe not. My wife and I, little statement here, are adamantly opposed to the data center here in Oldham County. We've lived here for 37 years. We moved here because we found this to be a slice of heaven. We weren't born in Oldham County. We moved here by choice. It's a beautiful place. We feel strongly that the contorted reasoning necessary to claim the hyperscale data center as a utility of some sort, it befuddles me. Our opposition, of course, centers on the pollution of various sorts and the degradation of the value of our lands and our homes. For many of us, I'm 78 now, for many of us, that land, that house is your retirement. It's a big item. As far as process goes, we moved here with the idea that you would stick to the comprehensive plan. Those are the rules. And if you're going to change it, then you need to do that in the evenings when we can all be here, when we can decide on which way we want to go. And a data center, the way I look at it, is not just a data center, it's heavy industry. It's patently obvious to me. So I'm begging you, do what is right for us all. Do what is right for this county. Take a look at your oath of office again. Help us fight this monstrosity. Thanks.
Hello, my name's Alex LeBlanc. I live at 5327 Brookswood Road, Crestwood, Kentucky. I'm not here to talk about the data center, but I will say that these people have my support. I agree with them 100%. We don't need a data center in this community. I am here with Michael Slider from Kentucky Citizens for Democracy to talk about our relationship with ICE. And I will say this, there's been a lot of opportunity before today to clear the record. Michael Slider's had multiple conversations with the jailer, with the sheriff. We invited all of you and them both to our town hall. Would have been plenty of time before today to give a fiery rebuttal. So I appreciate it's on the record. We understand that the sheriff's office didn't enter into this agreement because we can see Jeff Tyndall, the jailer's signature on both agreements. I will say, kind of sucks being at the butt end of an administrative error by ICE, doesn't it? It was their website that put that narrative out to the community. That's where the narrative came from, their error. Imagine if you were on an error of theirs and you ended up in El Salvador. That really sucks. A lot more than a false narrative in Oldham County. Let's talk about what these policies and the way they're being enforced by ICE is doing to our community, not just here in Oldham County, but across the nation, right? Let's talk about the chilling of free speech. Mohammed Khalil, taken for being pro-Palestinian and participating in student protests, permanent resident of America. He has the First Amendment right to do that, taken away, locked up, taken from his pregnant wife and his children to be flown to Louisiana and held until God knows when. As someone who spent a lot of time away from his family in service to this country as active duty military, I find that unacceptable. Everyone here has a right to free speech. Rumeysaz Turk, taken by ICE, pulled off the street by masked agents, thrown into a van, flown to another prison in another state for writing an op-ed in a university newspaper. Again, First Amendment, unacceptable. I already said I served this country active duty military. My brother serves this country active duty military. My father retired from 20 plus years, Army. My mother is a legal permanent resident, has been for 44 years, and she's now afraid to use her First Amendment rights because she sees on the news constantly stories about how the government can take you away, revoke it, take everything you own, and put you in a prison. That is not what I serve this country for. That is not what I support. That is not what I want my community to be involved with. Let's talk about 4th, 5th, and 14th Amendment violations. We all know about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a victim of an ICE administrative error, admitted by ICE's attorney. Supreme Court just ruled 9-0. That means you've got Alito and Thomas agreeing. This administration messed up. This administration should facilitate the return of that person. How do we know these mistakes won't continue and that these people won't be funneled through our detention center on their way to God knows where? Considering that we also now have video of President Trump saying we need 5 more prisons like the one in El Salvador, and he'd like to send American citizens there. This does not just affect undocumented people. This doesn't just affect immigrants. As a man said earlier, if one of us does not have due process, none of us have due process. We should not be involved or supporting this as a community if we support the Constitution of this country.
Hi, my name is Louis Knupp. I live on 308 Crystal Wash Drive. I'm relatively new to Oldham County. I've lived here for about 3-4 years now. I moved around a bunch. And in the interest of transparency, I want to give you all a little bit of background on me before I ask for some transparency in return. I was raised in a conservative Republican household. In my 20s, I was a registered Democrat. I'm fed up with everybody now, and I'm a registered independent. So to be clear, there's no partisanship in the opinion that I'm about to give here. I'm a father of 2 young boys, one who gets help through special education in Oldham County schools. I'm an activist. I'm an organizer with 5051 Kentucky, and I'm also a manager of AI and data operations for a company that does almost $100 million in business annually. So I'm very, very familiar with the topic of data centers and AI. I actually want to speak to both topics today because I find them to be linked together, whether folks are aware of it or not. And that is the topic of the data center and the topic of our agreement with ICE. In my career as a data analyst, prior to my current position, a lot of the problems that I found were finding the path between what folks, frontline employees, assumed what was happening and the decisions that leadership were happening, trying to dig into the data deep enough to understand what was really going on. And the truth usually ended up being somewhere in the middle. It oftentimes was not that someone who was in leadership had intentionally made a decision that would cause harm, but when you dug into the data, it did become clear that there was something that they had missed and harm happened one way or the other. Again, the reason I give this context is not to cast blame and is not to say who is at fault for where we are at today. It is just to take a step back and look pragmatically at the position we find ourselves in and determine, are we willing to be transparent? Are we willing to look at the data? And are we willing to collectively, as a community and as leaders of this community, chart the correct path forward in solidarity? On that note, I must echo what the speaker previous to me said about the on-the-record statement from Sheriff Wakefield. I very much appreciate an on-the-record statement being made today. For me personally, this introduces all sorts of new follow-up questions. And I would love it if we could either have a follow-up town hall or a small group meeting, whatever the sheriff and the leaders of this county would be willing to facilitate, to get a better understanding of what the heck is this agreement that we have in place, what dates were changes made to it, what were those changes, and where do we stand today? For the community to even have an informed opinion, and I'll be the first to say, I'm not a fan of false narratives, I'm not a fan of fake news, I think we're all on the same side here trying to find the truth. We need to have a common definition of what that truth is to be able to move forward effectively. So that is my ask on ICE. Also, again, as the organizer for 5051 Kentucky, which for folks who are not familiar is a nonpartisan movement whose only two goals are to stop executive overreach and to ensure that our checks and balances remain in place. I'm personally someone who, if at some point the administration decided to label me as a dissenter, depending on how our agreement in this county looks, I might be someone who gets picked up and shipped off to that center, right? That might seem like crazy talk, and a year ago I would have said the same. But now that we do have a precedent that due process can be skipped, and we do have a precedent of folks who speak out on the side of groups who get labeled one way or the other, we've got a sitting president who says that he is not only willing to, but actively seeking out ways to send American citizens to prison camps out of country. And we've got precedent stating that that's possible to happen without due process. I think as a community, the best we can do is at least ensure that we understand what's going on here, whether or not we can understand fully what's going on at the federal level. Now in the data center, again, I've got maybe a different perspective than some folks here, and I'll keep this brief. I recognize I've got about 20 seconds left. Again, in my position with AI, I recognize that the future workforce is fundamentally different to what it is today. AI is going to change the entire landscape. Part of my job right now is I honestly, for better or for worse, help automate things that people used to do, and the technology is changing at a rapid pace. We do need some source of income to ensure that our county continues to have money coming in whatever that future world looks like, but we need to do it in a way that is transparent to everybody. So I also am in favor of a moratorium, and I believe that whatever decision we make, all data needs to be on the table and available to everybody in this county.
Good afternoon. My name is John Dethridge, 2910 Shiloh Lane, Goshen, Kentucky. I spoke at last Thursday's meeting, and I'm going to repeat myself a little bit. All these people, myself, the jailer, the sheriff, we're all elected. We occupy an office. So it's not a department. Judge Vogel has many departments. He has the Parks Department, the Planning and Zoning Department. You know, he has departments. We are officers, and we have an office. So these officers can't affect Tim Wakefield's office. These officers can't affect the jailer's office. The jailer's in charge of his office. So these people can't tell ICE what to do. So, you know, like I said the other night, if you have a problem, run for office, create your own rules, and do what you want to do. All right, that's enough of that. I want to talk about power for the data project. The reason they chose that property was because some power lines run through it. Well, those are direct power lines from the Trimble County plant straight to the Middletown substation. And that's what all 12 of those lines do on that big tower. They're already being used. There's a lot of power flowing through them. Over the summer, you may have noticed that we had warnings that there may be brownouts due to the excess electricity being used for cooling houses. So there's not enough power there to run 8 5-acre data centers. So what they have is an easement for power, and they would have to notify LG&E that they want to use, I don't know, 400 megawatts or whatever it is they're talking about. I don't know what that number is. Enough to power 450,000 houses, from what I understand. Then LG&E would have to respond. They can't deny power. If you ask for it, they have to build it. So they have to build new infrastructure from the Trimble County plant to that farm. That's, and everybody, I'm not going to repeat what everybody said, but it's definitely not the place we want this, okay? In addition, I want to have everybody remember and notice that when you've been driving down I-71, you've seen a new power system to the left of I-71 going towards Louisville, right where you cross Brownsboro Road. That new system was built specifically because of the veteran hospital. Now, when they started building the hospital, they didn't have that power there. And somebody said, oh, you know what? We're going to need a whole lot of power. So LG&E had to take on the project of building that substation to service just the hospital. Okay? So now, if our lines get used to power the data center, then they're already being used. They'd have to bring in all new power lines. So that's my point. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. My name's Arthur Blake. Can
you speak a little louder, please?
I'm at 1813 Foxborough Road. My name's Arthur Blake. This data center, or one in Oldham County, is going to affect the county. Everything that you knew about this county that you cherished is not going to be the same, period. I think we all know that. This thing, one thing out of, they're going to expand this the way they usually work. If you look at Georgia and different states, this will expand out into other counties, and there'll be hundreds of these things. If you enjoy Oldham County, the horse farms, the beauty, listening to the birds on your porch, all that's is due to be changed within 3.5 mile radius. This thing, you're going to hear this thing, you're going to smell it, the creeks are going to get messed up, you're going to have radiation, you're going to have air pollution, all the good things, all the animals are going to run. And I guess bottom line is, when you look at this gigantic industrial complex, which is what it is, it's not a power station, it doesn't produce water, it's not going to lower your electric bill, because your electric bill is going to double in no time. But I moved out to Oldham County 40 years ago. I've been out here a long time, and I chose Oldham County for the charm, the railroad through the main street, et cetera, the wildlife, the views, everything, the vistas. It's a beautiful county. And all that's about to change. And I just want people to realize it's all pie in the sky, them telling you that taxes are going to be this or that, because this is the first of at least three companies that are going to own this thing. We don't even know what the taxes are going to be. Anybody that tells you this is going to bring in X amount of money, it is telling you a fishtail, because they don't know, because they don't even own it yet. And I just wanted to make a plea to, everything that you know about Oldham County, is going to be a memory for the kids, for the grandkids. And there's some things that are worth more than money. There's some things that are worth more than power. And these things are going to go in all over the place around us. We don't need to be the dead center when it starts, and it's going to mutate. I guarantee you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Barry Laws, 3411 Findlay Mill Road. I'm the constable of District 3. Yes. So Judge Vogel put me on the tourism board, and we were tasked with what is Oldham County. And we scratched our heads, and we all got together, and we thought, I don't know, what is Oldham County? And we came up with quietly amazing. Well, this project is not quiet, and it's not amazing. The judge touched my heart when he said Oldham County is not for sale, and I truly believe that. I really do. This whole project smells like Oldham County's for sale. You all know the problems here. You summarized it right out of the gate, and that was brilliant. You all know this. I'm not going to tell you all the downsides of it. But this smells like Oldham County is for sale. It either is or it isn't. Thank you.
My name is Chaz Stess. I live at 3115 Setting Sun Court, Crestwood, Kentucky, 40014. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming here, not just our magistrates and the judge, but the people behind me. Those are the people that are affected by this project. Judge, the other night, Friday at the meeting, you spoke quite a bit about the financial impact that this would have. And while Oldham County may be hurting for money, I think if this project were to go through, we would be hurting much, much more. Over the past 30 years or so, Oldham County's population has nearly doubled. If this project were to go through, you have people with health concerns. You have people with property values that they're concerned about. You have a lot of people that will leave this county, and those tax dollars will go away. For the minuscule amount that this data center could bring to Oldham County, I think it would be better for each of you to explore new options, new businesses. Change is inevitable. I understand that progress will happen, but this is not the kind of progress that we need in our community. Years ago, when I was a younger man, I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America when I joined the Kentucky Army National Guard. I served for nearly 6 years in 20th Special Forces Group. And I ask you to explore your heart and to explore that oath that you swore in keeping these people safe and keep this community clean and quietly amazing. Thank you.
Is Ellen Ballard. I'm here with my husband, Dennis Naiman. I've only been in Oldham County since '96, so I would be a newcomer.
Can you state your address, please?
And I have two places we own here, 10523 Buckeye Trace, Goshen. And we also have a place in Westport on 18 Mile Creek. So we're kind of hit couple of ways with this. And years ago, and there's probably several people in this room that were involved in this, is when they wanted to develop the Hermitage Farm. And there were a whole group of people that got together to kind of argue why that shouldn't happen, because it was such a beautiful historical place. And it didn't happen, so that's great. I think that my concern about this, as far as the power plant goes and more electric lines, well, that's going to go into Westport because there's a huge transmission corridor there, so that's going to affect Westport. I'm also concerned about how It's going to affect the roads on 42 and the road on 53, because if all this traffic is coming and they have to widen the road, that's going to be bad. How are they going to get through LaGrange? Are they going to widen the road on 53 so that all this work that's been done to fix up this downtown is going to be affected? Because how are they going to get back and forth? It's slow enough at rush hour now. So that's all I wanted to say, and thanks for your work.
Jennifer Toll, 3905 Hambletonian, LaGrange. I've stated I'm concerned about the health issues repeatedly, but that's not my focus today. Before I was in functional medicine, I was an engineer, so I've spent years in the automotive industry. And looking at this project, I can't make it make sense. I'm looking at their numbers, I'm looking at what they're putting out, I'm looking at their design of this facility, and then I'm researching across the country all of the other facilities that are going in. You got $750 million there. You top out at $1.2 billion. How are they calling this a $6 billion figure? You got Cedar Rapids, Iowa. They're putting in a 600-acre facility in multiple phases, $750 million. I look up WHP. Every single one of their projects is overblown. They sit there and talk about the land. If you want to look at it from a land aspect, you look at what it takes to build a data center. A data center must be on flat land. They're claiming they have to do minimal to that land. It slopes 70 feet towards Ash Run. It slopes 30 feet towards Harris Creek, and at some points has a drop-off. How are you not going to have to do massive stuff to that land? Also look at the floodplains on that land. By the time you flatten that land, you've essentially created one huge floodplain. One huge floodplain that you're now going to put massive generator yards on and massive fuel storage tanks. What happens when we have rain like we did this past week? And all of that floodland now floods. What happens to all that fuel? Who's regulating that? You put it under a CUP? Who is regulating that? Who's regulating what happens to that fuel? Who's regulating how they build those fuel tanks? Who's regulating how they build those generator yards? It's irresponsible. It's completely irresponsible, not just to this county, but to all the counties downstream. This has to be regulated. We have to know what's going in there. We have to know their specs, and we have to know their financials. You look at what all these other states and counties are doing, they're not getting the tax revenue, so they are negotiating additional funds because they're not getting the tax revenue. So again, if even just do a Google search, go on Microsoft's map of where all the databases are and look at the information. You've got Loudoun County, yeah, $800 million in tax revenue on 200 data centers, not one. You cannot make this money make sense. You cannot make the story they're telling make sense. You can't make any of it make sense. It is not logical. It's a fallacy and it's a story, and we're being sold a bill of goods.
You forgot sinkholes. You forgot sinkholes.
So I just want to say thank you, magistrates, for listening to us. And thank you, Judge. Thank you to everybody behind us for being here. And I've been blown away by the participation by the citizens in this process. And I would hope that you would utilize the knowledge that's behind me, the hard work they've done for the past 3 weeks, everything they've compiled, and you put together a citizen group that works with you to look at the feasibility of this data center. Let's just not have it with you guys.
Name and address.
Mary Lowry, 326 Maple Avenue, Pee Wee Valley, Kentucky. I think that you should utilize the knowledge that these guys have gained. I think that you guys should work together. We should all we should all create a solution that's good for Oldham County. Yes, keep it quietly amazing. I reiterate what everyone has said. I'm vehemently opposed to any data center in Oldham County. I understand the process has to continue. Let these guys help you. Thank you very much.
Would anyone else here like to speak?
I'll keep it short. Amy Wellborn, 3404 Shady Dell, LaGrange. Amy Wellborn, 3404 Shady Dell Boulevard, LaGrange. I thank you for allowing everyone here to have a voice. It's a lot of time out of your schedule. I think you can hear overwhelmingly that there is a voice for concern on this project. Particularly the one that's proposed on 53. I'm very happy to hear there's consideration of a moratorium. You explained the process earlier about it would take till July to do the ordinance or the moratorium process. And I would like to request, would you consider a resolution instead?
Of a resolution rather than what?
The process you explained earlier.
Okay, well, what's coming up is a proposed ordinance that it actually would take precedence over just a resolution. We've been advised on how to legally address what needs to be done to stay within state law, and don't think we just have the ability to just outlaw it. The state law requires that we propose an ordinance. We're going to request that ordinance go to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission will get it, I believe, later get it next month. It's too late to put it on their agenda for this month. And then we would expect them to approve the steps to, start studying this and stop all activity that has not been filed. This would not affect anything that's been filed so far.
But there's a gap till July if you go that route with an ordinance versus an emergency resolution.
Oh, Mr. Baxter?
We looked at doing a resolution. I did legal research. I checked actually with Keiko. There's somebody with our insurance company that I can bounce things off of. You cannot amend an ordinance by resolution. You can't amend a statute by an ordinance. So if we have an existing zoning ordinance, in order to change something in that ordinance, we have to do it by way of ordinance. There's a statute also that requires, and unfortunately there's just no way around this, but there's a statute that requires any amendment to the zoning ordinance, be it a map amendment or a text amendment, which is what this is, has to go to the Planning Commission for a public hearing before, and then they make a recommendation to this body either to approve or disapprove the change, and it'll come back to the fiscal court regardless. So if on the off chance, which I don't think they would do, but if on the off chance they disapproved, did not recommend that the text amendment happen, it still comes back to the fiscal court, and there has to be a public hearing on that. So unfortunately, that's just the way it has to go. We looked at the other way, and it's just not something that I could say was the legal and proper way to do it.
Okay, thank you. My other thing is when you start working on amending the comprehensive plan, that you consider possibly a cap on how many of these data centers our county could have if you're considering having data centers in the county. I also would like the comprehensive plan to consider if this technology is outdated and you have to close these sites, what's the reclamation project? Who is going to hold that bag for reclaiming the land? Are you going to create a trust that the people who are operating that property have to hold? Or that's important because brown sites are all over this country. Kentucky has several from years past that we could look into, and I think that should be part of the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Liz Englert, 5400 Old Sligo Road. My family has lived in LaGrange, in Oldham County for about 40 years, nearly 40 years, and we have loved every minute of it. And I think every person here loves Oldham County. That brings us to why we love Oldham County. We like the open space around us. We like order. We like a plan. And unfortunately, I don't know that anybody in Oldham County right now feels that they are secure in where they live. It can change in a flash. And I think we need a comprehensive zoning plan. I know we have one, but we have not been following it. And we need a comprehensive zoning plan that will give us at least the illusion of security in where we live as far as quick changes and unexpected developments. The other sad fact about development of any sort is that development precedes infrastructure. So the development comes in, the county is responsible for the infrastructure, widening roads, making sure traffic is safer, more police, more fire, more everything else. So when we look at developments, we need to look at net rather than gross. And we would appreciate if Oldham County would look at doing a zoning plan that is up to date so we can know what to expect within our communities. Thank you.
Ma'am, could you?
Ma'am, can you please repeat your last name?
Engelhert. Thanks. All right, go ahead, please.
Hello, my name is Alan Hayes. I live at 2923 North Highway 53, LaGrange, Kentucky. I'm physically the neighbor to this facility. The way we found out about it was a Facebook post when it hit the news while we were on vacation. Since it has started, there's been no communication on what the facility will use. Basically, my greatest fear is we don't know what kind of chemicals they're using. We don't know they're anything from radiator fluid, heavy metals. We don't know how much water they're going to consume, if we're going to have the facilities to accept, for the city to provide that water. We weren't told anything. My house is close enough that with the scale that this thing is talked about, a gentle breeze is going to raise the temperature of my house just because of how much energy this thing is consuming and putting out. There's no talk about any of the impacts on the local neighborhood. So obviously we're definitely against it, and we would really like to understand that the county is also understanding that this thing doesn't just have discharges. It's going to be putting out a lot of chemicals. At this scale, anything is going to put out a lot of chemicals on the neighbors, no matter what they try to do. So who's going to be responsible for checking these things, filtering them, making sure that if a discharge does occur, that we're notified and that we're, cleaned properly, if possible. Because the last thing I think anybody wants is a rehash of like I think it was East Palestine, Ohio, where they had a train wreck, and instead of cleaning it, they burned it, and it basically destroyed the town. Being right next door to it, as a small server fire, going to be the same situation where half of the county is evaporated. At this point, nobody's talked about it. Nobody's really got an emergency plan. Nobody understands the scope of what this thing needs to support it or what it is going to cost us to provide to support it. And as far as the money goes, one thing to really remember too is pie in the sky. If they do put in $6 billion worth of equipment, not much of that's coming from here. This thing is 8 warehouses with a lot of equipment coming from overseas that's just being put into a warehouse. So the value added, the jobs, all of that stuff, that's not really going to be coming here. That is all for somebody else. We just get to carry the cost of it. Thank you.
Who's going to get here first?
Hi, my name is Don Chesick. I live at 5000 South Highway 53. I did not expect to get up here today, but I had to. My wife and I moved here 16 years ago. We've been married since 1983. At that time, we worked together to put me through college. She's never worked a day other than on the house. We saved everything we'd had, raised 3 kids. She was at home, a mother, took care of the kids. The kids are doing great. Fact of the matter is we worked that way, and our whole mission we knew what we wanted in the end. We wanted a farm. And it took us 35 years to get there, but we have the farm. 27-acre farm. It's a honeybee farm. I have 100 hives during the peak of the summer. I sell hives. I propagate hives all across the county. Actually, all tri-counties, 4 counties. People buy my bees. Remember, people probably in this room have bought my bees. I sell honey. I had 2 farms on each side of me. This one sold to a developer. This one sold to a developer. Both people passed away. The one on this side, fortunately, I got it reduced because of the type septic system. I'm now a septic system expert, if anybody has any problems with septic systems. But on the south side of me, there was a house. They started breaking ground in January. The house is now built. It's now under contract. The person who bought the house called me saying, Don, where's this new 53 bypass going to be going through? I said, it's going to go right through your property. It's going to be right next to your house. She's got 5 acres. It's going to cut off 2 of them. She's just devastated. I said, how does this kind of stuff happen? I know we make mistakes, but that's the kind of stuff that really bothers me, okay? It's just wears on me. But here's the thing. This data center, when they build all this infrastructure with this new generation's power that required to generate this power, these guys are going to pay for it because they're going to just put that out on our bills. They're not going to say, oh, guess what? The data center has to pay for all this infrastructure, all these electrical lines and everything else, everything that has to be put in place to be able to supply it. But no, they're going to pay for it in electric bills, and they're going to pay for the water, any kind of infrastructure that gets put up, they're going to pay for it. So I lost my train of thought, but anyway, that's basically what I wanted to talk about.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anita Travis Richter. I live at 4809 Greenwood Court, LaGrange, which is Buckner off of Cedar Point. I've been in Oldham County for 33 and a half years. I was in Pewee Valley for 28 plus years. So I do have a long history here. I came from a county over that is also concerned with situations like this. I really wanted to state that my background was 28 years, nearly 28 years working on the energy side. I work with words. I know how words can change people. They hear words, they're sold stories. But you need to do your research. I was the editor of Kentucky Living Magazine for 27 and a half years. I retired 2 years ago. I have now stepped up to give my time to this effort because I knew what a data center was because I had all that knowledge in the background. I already had that. So when I heard the word data center, my ears perked up. And I stepped up to help this group research information. And it is very concerning to me, not just as an Oldham Countyan, but it's very concerning to me as a Kentuckian. This state is known for its beauty. This is a problem that is a world problem. So go out there, read all you can about data centers across the world. They have the same problems that the U.S. now has. And we're just now catching up to it. Sadly, it's already started in some areas to wane. So are we on the downhill slope of this? In Virginia alone, there are 300 data centers. These are regular-sized data centers. These are not hyper-scale data centers. I cannot even imagine 300 data centers in a state like Kentucky. Please educate yourselves. It took 2 weeks to educate ourselves. And everyone has spoken to so many critical issues. There are so many educated individuals in this group and in this county. Please listen to them. Take their expertise and use it when you're making your decisions. And please, I agree, let's be transparent. Let's not try to have a consultant that knows who the loopholes are to get it through a cup. We cannot do that. This is my county, and I come up here and I cry. I am not a crier, but this makes me cry that something like this could happen without us even almost learning about it. Thank everybody who has come today. I thank every one of you. I thank every one of you elected officials. And you know what? Now that I'm retired and I'm not working 12 and 14-hour days, I will be involved. I will be, and I will be voting for the people who stand up for this, because I'm a registered Democrat, unlike many people in this county. But guess what? I never vote straight Democrat ever. I pick my people based on morals. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Corey Hayes. I'm at 103 Woodlawn Avenue in LaGrange, Kentucky. I have been raised in this wonderful, beautiful county. I moved away. I came back. I came back because it was clean. I came back because I have a network of friends and family here. So imagine my surprise when one of my friends, and this is my data center right here, a $1 notebook at the freaking Dollar General store, and you can get one. I'm also a nurse. I did some research on this. I was astounded that any of you were even considering putting this in this county. The toxic waste that comes from this facility, do some research. It'll blow your freaking mind. And let me also tell you, if you have kids and grandchildren that live in this county, you want them to grow up in this county, you want them to stay in this county, don't put this in our backyard, period.
Hello, my name's Olivia Tipton, 3601 Alexander Drive. So first, I want to say Judge Vogel, hello, it's so wonderful to see you with a smile. I'll be very quick. What I wanted to say was just the same way I think all of us as residents feel like this was dropped on us. I do think we need to remain and give everybody in front of me the space to know that this was likely dropped on them too. And the same way we have been preyed upon, or we feel we have been preyed upon, I believe that too. And I've spoken on our community and the wonderful people we have over and over again. And I don't think that line exists here. It includes all of us. So I think let's move together, work together, and keep our county great. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to come forward and speak here?
Good afternoon. My name is Robin Vessels. I live at 1320 Bluegrass Parkway in LaGrange. This ordinance proposes a moratorium of 120 days. However, what I would ask for is 365 days, and I will explain the reason why. When a change to the zoning ordinance is contemplated, it is not something that happens overnight or the next week. There are a lot of meetings that must be held. First, the proposed change must be heard before the Study Review Committee. After the Study Review Committee is finished with their process, it is then submitted to the Planning Commission for their approval. Once the Planning Commission approves the change, it is then sent to the Fiscal Court to be placed on the agendas for both the first and second readings. To give an example of the amount of time required to change the zoning ordinance, the zoning regulations dealing with medicinal cannabis facilities took 6 months from the beginning of the process to the end of the process. Although that was controversial, that controversy is nothing compared to the controversy regarding data centers. While it may not be any of the members of Fiscal Court, it would appear that someone wants to prey upon the ignorance of the citizens That is, that the citizens do not know how long this process takes. But I do, and now they do. It is also grossly unfair to place this time constraint upon the Study Review Committee. The purpose of that committee is to study and to allow input from the public. Input from the public is very much necessary regarding data centers, and the public should be aware that their input is very valuable during this initial process, and there should be plenty of time to allow the public to do so. I would additionally request that another moratorium be done, also requesting 365 days. But this moratorium would be for private utility buildings. Planning and zoning has done what it can to jam a square peg into a round hole. This needs to stop, and the way for it to stop is for the public to be more involved with how the zoning ordinance is written and to effectively put an end to this type of behavior. In conclusion, I am requesting that the moratorium for data centers be for a period of 365 days, and also that the fiscal court pass a moratorium for private utility buildings for that same period of time. I am requesting the moratorium for the private utility building, as this is a conditional use that the applicant and also the planning staff tried to use to fit a square peg into a round hole by attempting to say that a data center was a private utility building. Simply passing a moratorium in data center does not address the private utility building conditional use attempt. And I can easily see that, and through that, and so should you. Thank you for your consideration.
Anyone else? Come on.
My name is Gary Bleischer. I live at 2617 North Highway 53. I've got a question for you, Your Honor. Is there any way that all the people of Oldham County could be able to vote whether this goes forward or not before it's done?
No, the statutes prescribe what types of measures can be put on a referendum. Barry, I believe that does not include this.
Judge, I, off the top of my head, I can't answer that. I don't think so, but I could do some research and report back to the court.
I appreciate that.
There are specific things that can be put on a ballot or have a public referendum for. I think that item came up when liquor sales were approved here a number of years ago. People wanted to do that, and we weren't able to do it then. So I'm going to assume that it couldn't be. That in itself might be dangerous, though. You know, it can
be really dangerous either way, because if people feel like they're being slighted and they're not getting a fair shake, they're going to possibly, file lawsuits and all that other stuff, which is unnecessary. But if we could find out, that would take a lot of the burden off of your shoulders, and that way it would be up to the people and not so much put on you.
Right.
All right.
Well, I appreciate it. We can look into it and see
Thank
what
you very much.
legal counsel says about it.
Hi, Judge. Jeff Smith, 4481 Brittany Lane. The lady on the moratorium stole my thunder, but I would like to just kind of understand where it says incorporated will not be, incorporated cities are not going to be in the moratorium. Is that correct? So,
yeah, that's right.
Oldham Reserve would be not in the moratorium?
The proposed ordinance does not include incorporated areas of the county. Each incorporated area, those are the cities, basically set the rules themselves. We're not able to issue a moratorium on all the cities because their own legislative body is responsible for doing that. So I do believe that it's very unlikely that Pee Wee Valley or Goshen or River Bluff and anything like this could possibly land there. Could possibly come to Oldham Reserve, but Oldham Reserve is a planned unit development, what's called a PUD, and I can't speak to the legality of whether or not the city council could implement anything to control the boundaries within the planned unit development without the agreement of the Oldham LaGrange Development Authority, or Fiscal Court actually owns half of that property. But it's all within the city of LaGrange, but the partnership for the business park is a combination of county and city. So you're asking kind of a technical question there, and I'm not trying to give you an evasive answer, but I can't really speak directly to it.
I'd really like to see that developed like you wanted it to. Some offices, some parks, some nice things.
Right. We've been trying for a long time to get business development there, and it's taken a long time to get to this point. I know that's one of the issues. I've read a lot of things that have been on the internet about the hyper data center. Some people said, well, this should be in the planned unit development or in an industrial area. Okay, whether or not that can happen, I don't know. That's part of the reason we need to step back and study this entire thing. Now, what I want to make clear, though, is the moratorium. This group came to the community and has made an application here to do something. We don't have the unilateral right to say, take your application and walk. We have to go through the process of dealing with it. Okay, that's their legal right to do that. We did not recruit this company here. We're as surprised as anyone to have it land on us, so to speak. I noticed a comment was made on the internet about, well, now we know why fiber optic. We had this agreement with AT&T to put fiber all over the county.
I had that thought.
Right. We responded to that because that was the largest complaint we had, people saying, I can't get internet at my home. When we worked with AT&T to put that process in across the county, I guarantee you we had absolutely no idea that would be part of what would draw somebody else's attention to come here. We're just trying to get everybody internet. But apparently that was one of the factors that has separated Oldham County from maybe a neighboring county. I don't know.
Okay.
So I don't want to try to begin to refute. We're not in the position of refuting anything. We're not here. We're not the enemy sitting here. We're allies sitting here. We live here too. We all want the best for this community, and believe me, we've all worked hard to try to achieve that. Earlier it was mentioned, why don't we have more night meetings? Well, we're considering a new facility for Oldham County Police. We had a night meeting. Literally nobody came other than police officers. People didn't show up. So the reason night meetings have not been a frequent occurrence here is because there are very few people that actually turn out for a night meeting. And it just doesn't happen very much. But we're not opposed to them. And maybe we could have had this at night so you all wouldn't have had to come here during the day. But we apologize for anybody that had to miss work or took the extra time. It wasn't anybody's intention. We just had this meeting scheduled, and all of a sudden we sort of realized a lot of people are going to come out here. And we're glad you're here. We hear you, and we're with you in regard to making Oldham County the best it can possibly be. Whether or not a data center could ever fit in this county, something we don't know. I personally do not believe it fits the circumstance that's been requested at this point. But whether or not the financial benefits to a community could accrue here, we have to learn these things. I think as a group, we'll be traveling to certainly one or two or more locations to observe for ourselves how these things work. Someone mentioned, setting up a big thing and then having it go bust later. The Planning Commission and the board and the Fiscal Court all have the ability to put in what are called binding elements on any business that comes to our county. Just because your business may fit in a, let's say, industrial zone doesn't mean you can still go up and throw anything up there. We can put all kinds of binding elements on you. We have a good set of restrictions right now. We don't allow just unlimited sound, unlimited height. There's a lot of misconception because these people said we want a 75-foot tall building. That doesn't mean we're going to let one happen anywhere, much less in this place. So we have safeguards in there. I do want to, also address the issue that things have be done behind closed doors. I understand how that perception gets out because you're all doing something else and you hear about something and we didn't know about this. Well, this landed on all of us really not very long ago. Okay, I learned about it on the last Friday in January. I had absolutely when they said, well, we want to put a data center in Oldham County. Well, I didn't have any idea what they were talking about. I'm totally inexperienced. When Facebook wanted to start its data center across the river in Clark County, most of us stood here and said, by golly, how'd they get that business? It might have been good for us. We didn't know what we were talking about, but somebody else. We're trying to get business here so that all of us pay less property tax, be honest about it, but we like something good and clean and beneficial, not anything that harms our county or creates a lot of controversy or inconvenience or annoyance for people in the area. But none of this has been done in secret. It may seem that way, but it's not. No one in the county government has signed any kind of financial non-disclosure agreement. I've heard that said. Now, maybe LG&E has, maybe the water company has. Other people who are not in our particular downline of authority possibly did. I've heard it said the Chamber of Commerce may have. I asked, they said no. It's not unusual when someone comes to a county, however, to have them say, well, we want to keep this quiet until we announce it, okay? That's not exactly a non-disclosure agreement. That's an agreement just but where that all happened, I don't really know. I'm sorry, it seems to have come out in a way that has been disturbing to all of us, really. We didn't know. I don't think anyone's trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes in our community. So we all need to work together. I think we're all in agreement on that. We all want good things for our county and nothing negative. We're going to learn more about data centers. If they could or couldn't fit in other locations here, I don't think it fits this one myself. I don't think there's much of a chance the Board of Adjustments is going to approve it. I won't say 100%, but I'll say that we see people. We don't want to go against. They don't want to go against people any more than we do here. But data center, someone said these are on the downside. Maybe they'll shrink in the future. And several people have written, I had somebody in town tell me, well, he worked for an organization. They had a data center in Louisville. He didn't even know it. I think it's just a nondescript, building somewhere that has computers in it. But so it doesn't have to be a hyper data center. It might just be something quiet, but we don't know.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you for asking.
Quick question.
Sure.
I hear we're doing it, for tax money, but all the apartments that are being built and all the mid-range subdivisions that are being built, do they not bring tax money into this county? Or do I'm not a politician or any of this stuff, so I don't know. It seems like we should be getting lots of tax money from these things all being built.
Well, I'll try to address that. Yes, I think part of what's caught up here also among a number of people is that the change has come to Oldham County. Change has been coming for a long time. I've lived here since 1975. When I came here, we had 16,000 people. We have over 70,000 people. Things progress, and we'd like them to stay the way they have always been, but You know, they really don't. They just keep going forward. People in the county have sold property. If you sell if somebody wants to subdivide a piece of property, either as the owner or they sell it to somebody else, it's very difficult to stop that. We have over 100 subdivisions in our county. Many of you here probably live in the subdivision that someone else didn't want before that subdivision was built. It's a problem we've tried to manage. We all subscribe to the idea that our quality of life here is not for sale. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to absolutely stop. It's come to a dead stop. We just can't. The homes and the apartments that get built do pay taxes, but people with kids come in and they move in. 2 children, your property tax does not educate the 2 children in your family. Other people in the community have to chip in to help do that. So if we can get employers here that are worthy employers to be here, that would be great because they can help offset everyone's property tax. School boards had to raise taxes to suit what happened there. Okay, the fiscal court, we have not raised the property tax on the fiscal court in 15 years. In fact, we've reduced it twice. So we're trying to live within our means here, do the best we can, and all our agencies are in the community. I'm well aware of what happens in most agencies, and everybody is conscious of trying not to spend more money than our community can withstand.
And as elected officials, can we go get a roll call if they approve of this data center, what they're thinking right now?
Well,
we have elected them all, so I think they can answer to us. And do you approve of this?
Well, we
You can't answer that? Why not?
wait a minute now.
End up being where it comes back to us. I can't answer. You can ask the county attorney if I can answer.
No, here's the thing. Open comment is, we accept, and I've tried to respond a little bit. Traditionally, we do not have, debate back and forth. You're able to call each magistrate. I understand. Well, they'll have a chance to. They'll all have a chance to speak when I bring forward the proposal for the ordinance resolution.
Okay, so sometime they will
publicly
tell us we do or we don't.
Right.
I know he does.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sure. Thank you.
My name is Megan Patton. I live at 2750 Rebel Ridge Road. I've been in Oldham County for 7 years. I live with my sister. She and her husband built their house in 1977. So they've been here almost 50 years. I wanted to clarify what I think I'm hearing. I think, because you've made reference several times to the moratorium doesn't apply to things that are already filed, which sounds to me like this moratorium doesn't apply to Western Hospitality Partners. Is that correct?
That's correct. It applies to anyone else who is interested in coming to Oldham County, though.
Because my impression was we were attempting to stop Western Hospitality Partners from building their proposed data center, but this whole discussion of the moratorium then doesn't apply to what we've organized, what these people have organized about. So I'm correct on that.
We cannot stop something underway. We can only stop another organization from coming and trying to do something here.
The second thing I wanted to clarify, you talk about the Board of Adjustments and how you don't think they will approve it. What impact can we as citizens of Oldham County have on letting the Board of Adjustments know that we are not okay with this and we don't want them to approve this?
You have to come to the Board of Adjustments meeting, communicate with the Planning and Zoning. Planning and Zoning does keep track of the email and comments that come in.
So when can we have the date and time of the Board of Adjustments meeting that will decide whether or not Western Hospitality Partners puts this data center in? What's the date of that meeting? Because that's where we need to be.
Well, the technical review committee has been pushed back until May 17th, is it? Someone know? 21st? All right. All right. Ryan, would you like to respond to when this could come before the Board of Adjustments?
So just so I get clear, this is not going to be approved. Western Hospitality Partners project cannot possibly be approved by this county before the date of this meeting that you're about to tell us about?
Right.
Maybe.
That's not a yes or no question?
No, it's not. So right now, they are scheduled to go before the Technical Review Committee on May 21st. That meeting is at 1 p.m. Here. All of the emails that have been sent to me so far, all 985 of them, maybe, are all in a file. Those will all be given to the Board of Adjustments members at the time of that hearing. So the earliest they could go to the Board of Adjustments, and once again, this is up to the applicant. They have filed their application, but they could not go in June. That meeting is usually the third Thursday of June. Currently on our schedule, that meeting is to be determined because of a holiday. So it is scheduled for the third Thursday of June, but that could be moved. I know we've been talked to about a different location, moving it tonight. So currently the meeting is to be determined because of a holiday.
But it can't be moved to be earlier than that. We can't be surprised when we find out that, oh, they had an opening a week from Saturday,
No.
so they had it then.
No. And they have to go to Technical Review Committee first. And that's when all the utilities, all the agencies, a lot of the questions that people have posed up here, where some of those answers are going to come out. LG&E will be there. Oldham County Water will be there. Emergency Services will be there. Oldham County Engineer will be there. So a lot of those questions will be answered either by the applicant's presentation or by the agencies that would respond to them.
And is there an opportunity for public comment at that meeting?
So technical review does have an opportunity for public comment, but we ask that those questions are technical in nature at that stage of the game. And those are questions that are technical in nature of either the applicant or the agencies that are represented. So comment such as a lot of what has occurred today can occur at the Board of Adjustments meeting. So you can easily come to that meeting and make public comment just like you did today, or send an email in and we'll put it in the file.
But if we were at the technical adjustments?
Technical Review Committee.
Technical Review Committee, a technical question might be, describe how you're going to mitigate the flushing of toxic chemicals into the waterway.
Correct.
And then they would have to answer that.
Yes. I won't say have to because I can't make anybody do anything, but they will attempt to answer that.
But that would be a question we would expect.
Correct.
them to answer.
Correct.
We were going to ask them, how many hours do you plan to have to run your backup generators to get yourself enough power to run your data center, and what's
Correct.
the percentage in other places? We would have to answer that.
Correct. Those are technical questions, yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ryan,
Thank you so much.
TRC is scheduled when?
So it's always the third Wednesday of every month.
And
So I
since
believe that's May 21st.
since we know that's going to be a large turnout, can we go ahead and schedule that in the evening? Since
I understand. I'll have to talk to several people in order to do that because we've got audio visual issues.
we got several people here, so let's make that an evening meeting so that we can get these
Okay,
folks
well,
involved.
we can talk about that.
Let me address a little more of what that lady just spoke had to say here. My initial intention here with calling for a moratorium was to try to stop this, okay? But, I'm not, even though I'm called judge, any one of you might have the same position and you'd be called judge, even though you didn't go to law school. So I had told Nate here that I wanted to call a moratorium. But when I got into it with Barry, who is a lawyer, I found out that, well, I couldn't stop what was underway, and actually I couldn't just have the court declare a moratorium right now, that we had to there were statutes that addressed the specific steps that had to be taken to study this and get it, had to become an ordinance and so forth. So all of you, if you came thinking this would be, I apologize. I'll take that as my fault for not understanding that when I told Nate that I didn't understand it all till yesterday, frankly. And by that time, the announcement was out that was going to be this meeting. But this is all constructive. This is all constructive. Believe me. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Linda Van Horn. I live.
Speak in the microphone. You have to pull it down. Don't be afraid.
it's
It won't break. You can pull that whole thing down.
Okay. My name is Linda Van Horn. I live in Westport.
We still can't hear you.
I can't hear you.
Okay. I can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Linda Van Horn. I live in Westport, and I'm just questioning. I've been listening to everything everybody's been saying, and you answered a lot about what was going on just a few minutes ago. You were talking more about some of the questions, but the really main one is if this whole board knew about a data center, and if 3 months ago in January, why are we just now getting to it? Why is it just publicly leaked now?
Okay, can I stop you,
out
ma'am?
of all of the people here on this board, some of them had to know what a data center was. And that would be your first question. I heard it, looked it up, and went, holy cow, this is not what we're going to want in this area. This is going to be a disaster. And you do a little research on it, and it is a disaster everywhere it's been. There's a woman that posted a video on their next door recently, and it was a video of showing that somebody had made of showing what has happened in Virginia. That's a great thing to look at for anybody in the audience to listen to that, the effects it's having. And we're not talking about these little buildings. We're talking about these monstrous buildings with using a lot of resources, and then we're talking about when they abandon them. And you know what happens in cities when that happens and they get abandoned. They get abandoned, and you got the big mess to clean up. And you know who's going to pay for that? It's the taxpayers. So I think, I think we still haven't got all the questions about how to get this far before now that it's public.
Well, I can't honestly answer that for you, but you did I'm going to correct you, and I want to do it. I'm trying to do it gently and not. You said this whole board knew about it since January. That's not true. I learned about it on the last day of January, and something was coming. The company did not provide their prospectus or details of what they were going to do until I believe it was the 28th of March, and I forwarded it all out to the fiscal court at that time. So there's time in the equation that's not easily understood, but I'm just saying. It fell on us. We didn't know what was coming. We're trying to deal with it. Nobody's trying to hide it or cover it up. We're trying to meet it face on and deal squarely with it.
Okay, well, I've said what I need to say. I'm hoping that we can stop this because it's going to be a horrible thing for this county.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else like to speak?
Judge, would you be amenable, if nobody else is willing to speak or wants to speak, that we could go ahead and move the ordinance on up into the agenda so that I can get my District 3 folks home for dinner?
Yes, right. That's exactly what I intended to do, is ask the court if we have any objection to moving under contract. We'll close public comment and go to contracts and resolutions. Item D here, data center moratorium proposed ordinance. And I will read that for everyone here. Okay, yeah, is there a motion that we do that? Go ahead.
I'll move to move that agenda item to right under public comment before bid openings.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, motion carries. Now, I'm going to read this carefully and try to have and clearly. It says on the top of this sheet, proposed ordinance. An ordinance imposing a 120-day moratorium on the acceptance, processing, and approval of applications for the development or expansion of data centers within the jurisdiction of Oldham County Fiscal Court. Whereas Oldham County has experienced increased interest in the development of data centers within its jurisdiction, and whereas data centers, while contributing to the economic development, also have significant impacts on infrastructure, energy, consumption, land use, and environmental sustainability. And whereas the current zoning and development regulations may not adequately address the unique characteristics, demands, and potential cumulative effects of data centers, and whereas Oldham County Fiscal Court finds it necessary to evaluate existing policies, infrastructure capacity, and long-term planning objectives regarding data centers, and whereas Oldham County Fiscal Court has the power to impose temporary moratoria to proceed to protect the public health, safety, and welfare, now therefore be it resolved as follows. A moratorium is hereby imposed on the acceptance, processing, and approval of all new applications related to the establishment, development, or expansion of data centers within the jurisdiction of Oldham County Fiscal Court for a period of 120 days from the effective date of this ordinance. Section 2, purpose. The purpose of this moratorium is to allow time for the judge executive, magistrates, staff, consultants, and relevant stakeholders to consider infrastructure and utility, capacity, environmental and land use impacts, economic benefits for the community, and best practices and regulatory frameworks from comparable jurisdictions, and subsequently review and update applicable policies, zoning regulations, and standards related to data center development. Section 3, exemptions. The moratorium shall not apply to applications that have been filed prior to the effective date of the adoption of the ordinance and incorporated areas within Oldham County. The ordinance shall take effect immediately upon adoption. So that's the ordinance. Everybody has it here.
And
discussion?
Judge, just to be clear, and we talked about this already once, but I want to make sure this is what you are asking the Planning Commission to consider. So you're requesting a motion that this proposed ordinance be sent to the Planning Commission so that they can conduct a public hearing in accordance with Chapter 100, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you want that in a motion?
Is there a motion to that effect, please?
Judge?
I'll second it.
I haven't made it yet. Do we have an ordinance number yet?
No, there's no ordinance
there's no-
number
there's no
because
number
it needs to
on
go
this.
to,
It's
it
not a
needs to go to the
resolution.
Planning Commission. When it comes back, there'll be an ordinance number.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve this ordinance as written, although I would like to make some changes when we get to the discussion portion of it.
I'll second that.
All right, discussion.
I hate to interrupt, but again, we got to be clear here. This is a proposed ordinance that is being sent to the Planning Commission for review. So when you said the vote is going to be yes, send it to the Planning Commission, or no, don't send it to the Planning Commission.
But
That's the motion.
Shouldn't it be yes as we want it written?
You can make amendments about what you're asking them to do, yes, but it's going to come back to you. Just like any other ordinance, it's going to come back to you. It'll have to have 2 readings, and there'll have to be a public hearing.
My ask is, can we change the 120 days to 150 days? Because I don't think 120 days is going to give us enough time to do our due diligence. I don't think it's going to give planning and zoning enough time, or adjustments and appeals if it goes that way.
That would be a question for the motion maker, I think.
Which is me.
Okay.
And I'm okay as the second on it.
Okay. My next one is, can we add additional language in section 1 where it just says the expansion of data centers to also include the language of private utilities, data storages, and actually spell out hyperscale data centers instead of just data center?
Sure. I mean, obviously that I think is probably more the subject of the study review committee, but
Magistrate Woosley, I'm okay with that. Are you willing, are you wanting to say
data centers and hyperscale data centers, just to put the language in there?
Yes.
Okay.
And private utility
And private utility building?
and data storage, or whatever we're calling the place in Crestwood. Is that considered a data storage, Ryan?
Brownsville.
What is that regulated right now in Crestwood?
And just, this only relates to the unincorporated parts of the county. So if that's in incorporated Crestwood, it may not matter.
I realize that. I just want to cover all the bases, and I know
Right.
they're trying to slide it in under different terms, so I just want to cover all of our bases.
Well, that was put in long before my existence, and I don't even know what's in that facility. Supposedly, it's a secure Department of Defense facility that nobody can get into. So I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
That site itself was approved as storage.
I'm going to call it a data storage if you're okay with it.
Also, what Ms. Vessels said, a private utility and private utility buildings. Did you mention those,
It's a
Magistrate?
private utility, but I'm okay with adding private utility buildings as well.
Okay, I'm good with that as a second.
Do we have anything in the county now that's classified as a private utility?
Just supposed to stay up there. We're going to have lots of questions.
Might as well stay up there.
Ryan, your seat's right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right there. That's in camera view. So private utility, we have one that was approved by the Board of Adjustments as a private utility building on Dawkins Road, but that is the only one that I'm aware of.
What utility is that?
That is an old, so that's where the old junkyard was. And that was a company that what they did was they bored underground lines for fiber optic. That was approved as a private utility building back maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. So that is the only one that I'm aware of.
Judge, are you ready for comments, or are you not done?
I just got,
Magistrate?
I guess my question here is to the attorney. What protections do we have between now and when this is actually in effect to make sure nobody else files? Do we have any protection, or are we just wide open until this is approved?
I don't think you can change it any other way, so you're wide open until it's approved.
Judge.
That's all I got, Judge. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Magistrate Hawkins.
Mr. Baxter, just like when, for example, when we talked about the cannabis facilities, when that started, at the moment that discussion started at the county level, had somebody come in and applied, after that discussion had started, after I started that with the planning and zoning, if somebody should have applied after that start, then it kind of backdated, the process backdated until that start date of the discussions. Wouldn't this kind of also fall into that category where we're implementing it or recommending it today? Wouldn't it start today?
No, because it's not the force of law. It doesn't become the force of law until the ordinance is adopted. Saying you want to adopt a law isn't the same as adopting a law. So with the legislature, for example, they can propose bills, but just because they propose a bill to make something illegal or to tax somebody in some certain way, it doesn't become the law of the land until it is signed in to law by the governor, or the veto is overridden, or he fails to act within a certain period of time. And typically, those types of legislation have a start date anyway. It'll say it becomes effective on July the 15th. But there's no way that you all saying you want to have, I'm not suggesting this isn't going to pass, but if it were more controversial from the perspective of what you're trying to do, it might not pass. So you couldn't say, well, you can't, you don't have anything in effect. The law is not here. So you can't make this retroactive like that. There's just not a way to do it.
Is there a way to do it on an emergency basis?
Well, no, because you have to have all the criteria of Chapter 100 met, and Chapter 100 requires the Planning Commission to conduct a hearing on this recommended ordinance. Where'd Ryan go? He's hiding. No, stay right there. But I mean, we're already past the deadline to put this, you've already started advertising for the meeting, haven't you? For next week?
Yeah, so the earliest this could go to Planning Commission would be the May hearing.
So,
but I'm also ready to take this to the study review committee right now to start crafting regulation to either put this in a more proper, adequate zoning and to put regulations with it. And we could do that at study review committee at the end of this month. But that's obviously a different process than the moratorium, but I'm ready to do that as well. Those are special meetings, so those just have to be noticed a week prior, which we typically do those the fourth Thursday of every month. So I'm ready to start doing that now.
Ryan, I hear
Barry,
what
I'm
you're
not
saying,
done. I'm
but let's
sorry.
do it. Let's call a special meeting and let's get it done.
I think we have SRC next Thursday.
Yeah,
But
that's what I just said.
Barry, another thing, does a moratorium, and I remember Metro put in a moratorium for those blood draw centers maybe 10 years ago. Is it necessary to go through creating an ordinance for a moratorium, and is that how other counties do it?
The moratorium as it relates to short-term rentals in Jefferson County went through this exact process.
Okay. Okay, and then my last question on this particular subject is, since this body has sort of created the process of SRC, Planning Commission, and then this legislative body, do we also have the authority to forego that process and just bring it right here to us maybe next month and then do a second reading right after that to kind of speed up the process?
This is not going to the study review committee.
Okay.
This particular, the moratorium is not going to the study review committee. It is only going to the planning commission, and that's why it's going to the next possible planning commission meeting, which unfortunately is not until towards the end of May.
But we could forego that process,
No, you
correct?
can't, because there's a
Okay.
statutory requirement
Is it? Okay.
that any text amendment to the zoning ordinance has to go to the planning commission, and they have to conduct a public hearing.
Okay, and I had, thank you for all that information. Another comment I had is Mr. Dave had commented, he was like the second or third speaker, had commented on having the review of the comp plan in the evenings. And just a few years ago, when we did the last comprehensive plan, we had it in many evenings over the course of about 2 or 3 weeks. And I remember we met at North Oldham High School, we met all around the county. And I wanted to state that it was a little bit disappointing that the community didn't show up to participate in that very much. And so I am hopeful that as we move forward, we'll have huge community support and input for the next comp plan. So that's all I have today.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Yes, I guess I would direct this to our county attorney. I think Magistrate Woosley mentioned some definitions or some terms that he wanted to put forward. Hyperscale data centers, whatever. Does that need to be more defined as to what a hyperscale data center versus a regular data center, or whatever the term? I think if it's going to be an ordinance, we need to make sure we have defined succinctly what the definitions are that he has proposed for this ordinance.
I mean, to me, a data center, which it says data centers, would include a hyperscale data center, but he wanted to put that language in there. If somebody has a proposed definition, they can put it in. Obviously, we don't have one in the zoning ordinance, so it's not like we can look to that, and I don't know where. Well, is your manual?
Is less than 60 megawatts. A hyperscale data center is greater than 60 and usually falls below 600.
So if there's a moratorium, well, if there's a moratorium on data centers, that would include a hyperscale data center, right? I mean, it would include the lower one that you said, and I'm sorry, you said some megawatts. So it would include anything below that or anything above that.
But I just think we need to make sure that we're defining exactly what the language needs to be. If we're asking the the Planning Commission to consider this or whatever, so that when it comes back to us, from what I understand, and I've done some research on this, a hyperscale data center is kind of the top of the list as far as the megawatts that it takes to run one of those and the amount of area that it covers, versus a smaller scale data center Loudoun County's got, I think, almost 300 data centers. They're not all hyperscale. Some of them are small, small data centers. I just want to make sure we're all talking on the same
It
page.
seems like the term data center is the most inclusive term that you can make. It covers the entire field of anything that would be in that category. And once you start getting more specific, you run the risk of missing something.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to make sure we just were clarified, because Magistrate Woosley said hyperscale data center, and so I just want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing.
Well, he's trying to address the current issue, but really, data center covers the whole waterfront. I mean, it's
but you're
not just a certain type of data center.
As we saw
covers
in-
every type of data
So in
center.
Westport, waterfront still isn't defined until water comes over it. So I would prefer to leave that language in there because I don't want to give any wiggle
Magistrate,
room.
can I ask you to say data center of any size, and then that way it
Fair
covers
enough.
them all?
Okay, data center of any size. Are you
I'm okay with that.
Okay,
Thank you.
there we go.
Okay. I think that answers, that'll work.
All right. Magistrate Dye.
When you were reading what you read a minute ago, you said unincorporated. Could you go back to that paragraph?
Exemptions, there was a moratorium that shall not apply to applications that have been filed prior to the effective date of the adoption of the ordinance and incorporated areas within Oldham County.
Should we consider? Excuse me. Should we consider the plan unit development, since we only have one of those in the county? Because there's the whole zoning system with PUD doesn't apply to the rest of it. And let them work it out in the planning commission if they want to leave it in or take it out.
Well, I'm not sure you can include it because it's within the city of LaGrange. It's within the city of LaGrange. The entire business park is within the city of LaGrange.
Okay, I knew that. I just want to make sure, is there a reason to bring that up or not? As long as that's covered, I'm good.
Well, and if I can
if you want to take
interject,
that part
Judge,
out.
the judge's thinking when we talked about this was if you're covering the incorporated areas of the county, LaGrange, Crestwood, Pee Wee Valley, et cetera, it has to go to them to be approved. They have to have public hearings. I mean, it could delay getting this done. So in order to address as quickly as we possibly can what the county has absolute control over, that's why that language was included by the judge. Did I articulate that properly, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Judge,
Magistrate Woosley.
Mr. Baxter, does this process allow the city of LaGrange to then piggyback on our ordinance to say they're going to create their own and do the same process?
Absolutely.
What was that? I missed it.
The city of LaGrange can piggyback
Yeah.
off our ordinance, do their
Well,
own
they can
exactly
do
like
their own
this.
if they choose to.
Yes.
And their legal counsel will have to advise how the PUD fits into that. We don't know. Okay. All right, is there anyone else? So we have a motion on the floor, and the motion has been updated to, do we have an update to include the language covering any size of data center and
Private utility.
private utility?
And private utility building.
Section. And private
And private
utility building,
utility, and
and
private
change
utility.
the 120 days to 150 days effective date of the ordinance when it's approved.
All right. Okay, you agree to that? I think you
Yes.
did. All right.
Yes.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Pardon?
We have a roll call vote.
All right, well, we've called, all right. I'll ask Holly to take the roll. There's been a request for a roll call vote.
Magistrate Logsdon,
Yes, there's my answer.
Magistrate Jeffries,
Yes.
Magistrate Tice,
Yes.
Magistrate Hounds,
Yes.
Magistrate Woosley,
Hell yes.
Magistrate Likens,
Yes.
Magistrate Hawkins,
Aye.
Magistrate Dye. Yes. And Judge Vogel.
Yes. All right. Came out with the same result. I thought we had a unanimous agreement to move forward with this ordinance and proposed ordinance and send it to the Planning Commission, and it'll come back to us. I want to take a short
Thank you.
take a break here. I've had a request to a couple of people are thirsty, you know, and maybe something. But anyway, don't forget tonight the data center people are having a meeting at City Place from 6 to 8 o'clock. Go there and let them know what you feel. I mean, you know. Pardon? Yeah, right, right.
Judge, are we?
Is there a motion to take a 10-minute break?
So moved.
Thank you all. All right, is there a motion? We go back into session, please.
So moved.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're back. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda today, and that's the bid opening for Rollington Road and the drainage improvement construction projects. Who has that? All right, Holly?
He just said he's going to.
All right, the first bid is from Louisville Paving. It's $1,262,556.74.
One more time, Judge, I'm sorry.
$1,262,556.74. Next item here is Libs Paving, $1,142,919.50.
I did too.
We missed that. Can you repeat that one?
All right.
Sorry, we're slow today.
Okay, $1,142,919.50.
Thank you.
All right. Third and final bid is Triumph Landscape Construction, $1,057,000, $1,057,090.
Judge, where is Triumph
I know, I've never heard of
Landscape
that one.
Construction from?
803 Mount Holly Road, Fairdale, Kentucky. We don't know that. That's-
And I assume they met all the requirements to bid.
The Secretary of
We'll have to
State.
ask the treasurer if, they'll have to take a look at it. That's a new company to us, so if you want to check, it seems to be the lowest bid, but we don't know that company. Pardon? Okay, when are you
Not
going to bring
today.
it back? 2 weeks? All right, that won't come back for 2 weeks. All right, thank you.
2.
2.
Actually, it'll be 3.
Michael has been waiting about 4 years for this project, so what's 2 more weeks, right?
Jim, Judge, can I ask Jim,
Actually, Judge, that's
what
10 years.
what
I was
was
gonna
our
say.
budget for that project?
We had a estimate of, I think it was around 840,000 entered in the proposed fiscal year budget, and we
Okay.
were awaiting these bids to really understand what the price was going to be, understanding the escalations in all construction costs.
Thank you.
Next item on today's agenda are the bills.
Judge, I'll make a motion, we pay the payables.
Second.
Are there any questions on any of the invoices? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, budget transfers.
Judge, the budget transfers came before the Finance Committee today, and they were moved out of Finance Committee with a positive reaction, so I'd like to make a motion that we approve the budget transfers.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we're at the AT&T Universal Agreement. Bo,
Thank you, Judge. Bo Glass, Oldham County Dispatch. What this is, I'm requesting your signature on a service agreement extension with AT&T for switched Ethernet that's used at Oldham County Dispatch for the purpose of connectivity back to Louisville MetroSafe. Again, there's already agreement in place. This is just extending it for 3 years, and our monthly cost will remain the same throughout that 3 years as what we're paying now.
all right.
Judge, I'll make the motion, we extend the agreement with AT&T.
Second.
I just
Is
have
there any discussion on that?
I just have one thing.
Magistrate Hawkins.
On the contract, the city is NOVE. That's not a city in Michigan. It's Novi if you look at the zip code. So I was requesting to change that to make it the correct city.
Okay, I can get with them.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we've done that one, and we dropped item E just for lack of time for today. We'll take that up or at the next meeting, I guess. And then, like the item F, you have in here, I'd like to,
Judge? Oh, sorry.
pardon?
Nothing.
All right. The item F, all right, I'd like to ask Commonwealth Signs to install a new sign at the South Oldham Government Center. Be the same type of digital sign that we have in Prospect and in Buckner, and it would have the same type of landscaping with it, creekstone landscaping. I think it will do a lot to add the communications, our communications ability in that part of the county. So,
I'll second your motion.
all right. Any discussion on that? Manager Hawkins?
I'll just make this brief. I don't care for the look of the digital signs, and I don't think that goes with the community, so I'll be voting against it today.
Okay. Anyone else? Manager Woosley?
Judge, I'm on the other side of this. I think those signs are a good way to communicate with our community. This sign here needs to be manually changed, and with the new sign, we can update those from the office here. So I will support this today.
Right, and we're also able to put short-term things on there like traffic accidents or any type of thing that needs to be quickly communicated can be done on that as well. So.
But I didn't see a size. We didn't get a size on any of our information in the packet.
What's that?
The size?
5 by 10.
Is that
It's in there.
It's in there. Comparable to what other one in the county?
Yeah, same size as Buckner and Prospect. Exactly the same thing.
Okay.
Major Dye?
This is at no charge to the county.
That's right. We're using, donations.
And how long is the warranty?
Pardon me?
The
5
warranty?
years, 5-year warranty.
Okay.
Right. It's a 6 millimeter, so it's easily, the detail of the sign is easily read. And we get a lot of requests for material on these other signs that sometimes we have to customize them a little bit because they've got so much detail on them. But Holly does a good job with that. Magistrate Hounds.
Judge, are they on master agreement contract with the state because it's over the 40,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. They are.
I have one more question.
Okay.
I don't see, oh, there's Ryan. Does this fall within the county sign ordinance size?
Well, if it doesn't, you got two that are wrong.
I have to be honest that I really wasn't listening because I was checking on my email, so I do apologize. What's your question?
Does the proposed size of the sign fall within our own county sign ordinances?
I do not know that answer off the top of my head, but I know there's two, if there's just like the other ones that are already here. So I'm going to guess yes, but I can't answer that off the top of my head. I don't have the regulations in front of me.
All right, I think they do.
Last question, Judge.
Okay.
Where this is located, I'm not exactly sure where my city limits are, but is this does this have to be approved by either Pee Wee Valley or Crestwood?
No, it's,
I wouldn't want them taking the sign down.
right, no. No, it's, there are no restrictions like that on county property within a incorporated area. I mean, and I'm sure they'll be glad to get it because they have a lot of things they want to promote down in that area. So, all right. So here, no further objections. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 8-1. Thank you. Next item is, what is the next item here?
Parks Committee.
Parks Committee. Okay, go ahead.
Judge, over the last several months since January, the Parks Committee has looked at several contracts to do our fireworks show on July 4th. Today, during our Parks Committee, we had a good discussion on those proposals, and the recommendation came out of the Parks Committee to enter into contract with Trio del Sol, who is the same company who's done it the last 3 years. This is also the same company that's going to coordinate with our Crossroads LaGrange station. They'll do an 18-minute show with for $21,000. The price has gone up a little bit, but some of that is tariff money and some of that is just the cost of everything's gone up. The last 3 years, we've paid $18,000 for 18 minutes, and this year it's $21,000. So the recommendation from Parks Committee is to enter into this contract, and I'll make the motion that we enter into contract with Trio del Sol for a July 4th fireworks show at Windlemore Park on July 4th, starting at 10 p.m.
All right, motion and second. Any discussion on that? Magistrate Logston.
Judge, keep your tradition. I'm going to vote no on this. Can't seem to vote for a $1,000 a minute job. So you can come down to Pee Valley and watch them for free. So.
Magistrate Hounds.
Pat's still in here. Just make that this gets added to the budget because we didn't have this number in the budget. It'll be a budget item 2025, 2026, but we don't have this in the budget.
I thought Gary said it was in his budget for next year.
There is fireworks, not this amount.
Okay, so we need to add a $3,000 to it?
I'm not sure what the amount is. You're asking, I can't look that up right now.
It's 3,000.
Okay. Well,
Higher.
we'll have to
3,000 higher this
make
year
that
than last
adjustment.
year.
It won't be, shouldn't be any. He must have put the same amount in. Surely he did, but we don't know.
Couldn't you bought some from the city of Louisville? They didn't use any of theirs this past week.
We're looking for a sponsor, Magistrate Dye, if you would care to sponsor it this year. So
Oh, I'll see if I'll broker a deal for you.
there you go.
All right, we've got a motion and second on the floor for the fireworks at $21,000 this year. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll do with the Heather Green subdivision roads, bringing them into the county.
Yes, sir. Jim Silliman, Oldham County Engineer. We're currently engaged in a detailed review of the road mileage of the entire county with our local planning agency, KIPTA, and the State Transportation Cabinet. And as part of that process, they identified that we never officially took in the roads of the Heather Green subdivision into the county road maintenance system. Back in 2014, based on our research in 2014, it appears that the roads were not being completed by the developer and the bonds were forfeited for that area, and the county paid to have those roads paved. So they were completed at that date. And what typically happens is when we typically have a subdivision that is completed, they request their bonds to be released, and at that same time when you release the bonds, we take the roads into the county road maintenance system. Well, since that process wasn't followed because it was forfeited instead, we didn't, or the engineer didn't at that time, come forward to you and have that request. So it got missed. Again, they were paved. They have been considered county roads. We just discovered in this process that they're not officially taken in. So what I'm requesting is that Oldham County Fiscal Court take the roads within the Heather Green subdivision, which is Heather Green Boulevard, Tallgrass Court, Deer Path Court, Deer Woods Place, Timberwalk Court, and Heatherwood Drive into the county road maintenance system.
Make that motion.
Judge?
Second.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Second?
Yeah, I'll second it if it hadn't been
All right.
seconded.
Is there any discussion on this?
Judge, it did come through Road Committee today with a positive recommendation to accept the Heather Green subdivision roads into the Oldham County road maintenance system.
All right.
And how long did you say they were orphans, these roads?
Since 2014.
Okay.
All right, seeing no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim. All right. Now we're down to the Aquatic Center hires. Do we have a list of people here?
Judge,
Tina
we
Shaw?
learned today that this will get us at full staff on lifeguards for the,
Hi.
Tina Schaff to talk to us about this today.
Yes, we have most of the staff that's returning are returning from last year to this year. So almost all of the lifeguards and all of the head guards are returning from last year. So this is the list for 2025 that you have before you for approval, effective on the 5th of May.
Which will keep us fully staffed down there to open the pool this year. So make a motion, we approve all the personnel orders.
All right, we've got a long list of people here to be hired. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
That must also mean that Rachel's doing a good job if they came back.
Thanks. All right, thank you.
Now we're at our time for the second public comment in this meeting. Is there anybody here who would like to address the court that didn't have an opportunity earlier, or you can repeat yourself if you were here earlier?
Bo Glass, Oldham County Dispatch. Judge, there was a comment made in the first public comments that the wave tower is no longer used. That's not true. It's a very critical part of our radio infrastructure for dispatch, police, fire, and EMS. I just think that's important to note. I'd also like to point out that it's National Telecommunicator Appreciation Week, so I'd like to publicly acknowledge all the dispatchers, but particularly the ones here in Oldham County did an outstanding job.
Right, okay, thank you.
Bo, just one question, if you
Yes,
don't
sir.
mind, or Judge, if that's okay?
Sure.
The burn ban starts, is it 1st of May or end of May?
I don't know. the
May
exact-
15th.
No.
May 15th, isn't it?
Okay.
No,
I
it
thought,
starts
no,
the
it's
first.
either the 1st or the 30th.
May 1st.
Oh, yeah. I just want to make people aware that it's coming up, so if you've got anything to burn, need to get that done before
now.
the 1st. Yep, okay, thank you.
All right, you said which tower is no longer functional? You
The
said there's
Doppler-
two.
The Doppler tower, which is the round, looking like a golf ball, just a
Oh.
round one.
Okay, well, I don't know what a Doppler is.
That's on the property where the proposed data center is supposed to go, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Not it, right, the property right behind it.
No, it is
No,
the property
it's-
there.
it's all
Is
that
it part
property.
of the
Yeah.
200 acres?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Pardon me, you're right. Stand corrected.
Well, why doesn't the property owner tell them to take it down?
It's not part of this radio system. That's a private company. They've got a Doppler radar there. Doesn't have anything to do with dispatch.
All right.
I don't think your mic's on. Is your mic on? Is it green?
Jay, is the mic on out here?
A little button.
Oh, probably turned it off.
Anita Travis
There we go.
Richter,
There you go. Yep.
4809 Greenwood Court, LaGrange, Buckner, Cedar Point, Heather Ridge, right beside Heather Green. Thank you all today. I would ask that you put a little money out to get the water fountain fixed if you're going to be entertaining guests in Fiscal Hall. I didn't bring my water because I didn't think it was accepted in here. The other thing I wanted to add to my earlier comment was my knowledge, extensive knowledge on the electric side. If you want your electric bills to go up 21 to 50%, we'll have data centers in the county and in the state because that is what it's going to mean. If you look at every other community that has had them come in, this is the facts. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, seeing no one, will close public comment. We're going to wind up, I'm sorry I didn't mention, I should have mentioned that. I just didn't make a note of the fact that the wave tower is still in use. We're on the wave tower. There's somebody owns that tower. There's several communication systems on that tower, and I personally don't think it's that unattractive. I mean, I don't even pay attention to it. It's just there, so. Someone once told me you could see the St. Louis Arch if you were on the top of that tower, but I don't believe that's true. I don't have the nerve to go find out, I'll tell you that. Okay, well, we're going to wind up our meeting. For our visitors here, we normally have some comments from the magistrates at the end of the meeting. Magistrate Logston, would you like to add anything more today?
Just to squash some of the rumors, I didn't know about this until 3 weeks ago. I'm not on the take, and I didn't sign any non-disclosure statements. So just want everybody to know that.
Are you on their payroll, though?
Do what?
Are you on their payroll?
Oh, no, and I'm not on their payroll. So thank you for.
Man should die.
I can't tell you when I found out about it, but it was probably in that same time frame, and I'll be quite honest with you. I know what a data center is, but I had no idea that all these problems could come from one bunch of computers and behind a brick wall. I'm just waiting to hear what the truth of all it is. I don't go on Facebook, and I don't go on Nextdoor. So I stay away from that. So, thank you.
All right, Magistrate Hawkins.
I just want to say I'm really proud of our community for coming together for a greater cause bigger than themselves. And that's all I have today, Judge.
Magistrate Hawkins or Magistrate Hounds?
Change my name. Just a couple things. I want to thank the dispatchers too for what they do. We've had some interesting weather events over the past year, and we've had a couple of interesting fires over the past year. And Bo and Greg and his people have done a fantastic job on the other side of the radio. It's interesting for when you call 911, if the voice on the other end is calm, cool, and collected, then it brings you down. If they're hyperactive, then you get that way. And there are times when you call dispatch, and I know because I hear them talk about it, they'll say you're calling about the run on I-71, and you say yes, and they hang up the phone. They already know there's a wreck on 71. They need to continue the process. It's not that they're being rude. They're just trying to keep things going. And we have 3 dispatchers, work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Not the same 3 dispatchers. But if you ever see the inside of a dispatch center, there's a lot going on between police, fire, EMS. At times, there's a run in every discipline or multiple runs in every discipline. So it does get quite chaotic, and we are grateful for the staff that we have there. As it relates to the data center, I'll echo the same comments that Magistrate Logston echoed. I also would like to ask people to allow the fiscal court to do our information gathering. There have been a lot of conversations. We are trying to bring ourselves up to speed as quick as we can on both sides of the fence, getting data on both sides, people for and people that are against. And there are people that are upset that we're not answering emails. Well, as I told a lady politely, if you ask me a question, I will answer your email. If you tell me that you're opposed to the data center, I got the message. So I don't know where I got this from, but a long time ago, someone said you should answer your emails if there's a question. And if there's a question, I'll do my best to answer them. Sometimes, I'll be honest with you, we do miss emails. I'm not sure how many I've gotten. I've tried to keep track of them in a folder so I can go back and reference them if there's questions in the future. But this body that you're looking at, this group of people, the county attorney, the whole group, Mr. Fisher with planning and zoning, we're working. We're working very diligently for the people to try to come up with the answers. And there's a lot of things that we do that people disagree with, but hopefully we're going to get to the point to where we're going to get all the information that we can, and we'll be able to make the best decision that we can make with the information that is given to us. If you want to provide us with information, that's fine. But we're trying to get the facts and get the information from multiple sources, not just one person. And that's one person made a comment to me, well, I've given you all the information to make the decision. I'm sorry, that's not going to float. It's not going to float with me. I'll have to do my homework. Thank you.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Yes, and I would like to concur and agree with Magistrate Hounds. I think it was good to see this turnout today, and the community has been involved with this, and same way. I think I've heard about this on the 28th of March, I believe, when the judge sent us an email or informed us of this. So, it's been, we really don't know much more information ahead of time than what the community has known. So, we are committed to finding out what we need to know and do our due diligence and make sure that whatever decision that we ultimately come to, that it's hopefully in the best interest of Oldham County. So one thing I would like to mention for my district, Highway 22 out in the Ballardsville area, they're close to Ballard Woods. Back when we had the flood about a week or so ago, one of the pipes under 22 kind of washed out, and it's caused the road to cave, and so they had to put narrowed it down to one lane. It's probably going to take, KYTC told me yesterday, 2 to 3 weeks to get that repaired. So they don't know yet whether they're going to have to close the road completely. But if they do, we'll certainly put that information out there. But it is down to one lane with an automated stoplight on both ends and whatever. So just be careful when you're out there, because you kind of come around a sharp curve and there's, traffic stopped. And we had an incident the other night. A vehicle ran through there at Ballard Woods, and how he got through there's 2 brick posts there or whatever. He got right through the middle of those, didn't hit either one of them, but did hit a tree. So kind of messed his truck up. But anyway, just be careful when you're out in that area. And I'll just announce again too, if you're seeing any signs or any bad potholes, I know there's been a lot of potholes across Oldham County with this past winter weather and all this rain, and they're out there, the state and county both are out there getting those repaired. So just reach out to me or any of the magistrates in your district, and we'll try to get those notifications out to the state or the county so they can get those fixed. So that's all I have, Judge.
Manager Woosley.
Judge, I had 3 groups I wanted to recognize today, and Magistrate Hounds kind of stole my thunder on one of them, but this is the 2025 National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Being around dispatchers my entire adult career, I can tell you we do have some really good ones here in Oldham County, regardless of Bo Glass being our director or not, but we still do have some good ones. With him today is Greg Beck, who is our new deputy director. He's been with us a couple of months, 3 months. I am providing lunch and dinner a couple times this week. There are more opportunities. If any of you guys want to jump in, just let Bo know, but we're feeding them all week this week. This is also the Animal Control Week, and wanted to make sure we recognize those guys, paying for lunch for them next week, because some of those guys were out this week, but there's some opportunities for you guys to help them out as well. The last group I wanted to recognize was District 3, and by my count today, we had 30 speakers, which is 28 more than we normally have, and I am just humbled and honored to represent them. It's a great district, and I appreciate you guys. And then tonight at 6 o'clock is at City Place is the forum from the developers. So that's all I got, Judge. Thank you.
Manager Tice.
Yes, I thought today was a great day of education for all of us and for all the people that brought the news to us, and we'll use it wisely. And thank you all for being here.
Magistrate Likens.
Thank you, Judge. I think the data center kind of fell in the way of solar panel farms, windmill farms, cell towers, things that we just have to deal with that weren't around when we were growing up. But closer to home, the Ohio River is flooded, and I hope the county can aid in the cleanup efforts like we've previously done with maybe providing a dump truck or something, get rid of some of the garbage that comes with that. An interesting thing I read on AARP, which is the American Association of Retired Persons, they're having a scam jam. It is some of these elaborate systems that comes up, but it's at 10617 Taylorsville Road, J-Town. So I'm sure you could look that up if you're interested in that. It's I had the date written down, but I misplaced it. And the other thing is Happy Easter to everyone, and represent our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I was going to make some crack about him getting AARP messages, but now he's ruined it for me. So.
Well, next, you say this is Telecommunicators Week. Congratulations to our people. We appreciate the good people we have there. And next week was what?
No, this week is also Animal Control Week, but some of those are out this week, so we're going to do it next week.
Right. Well, the following week is a Fiscal Court Lunch Week. If you want to bring us anything,
It's Fiscal
we'll take
Court
it.
Lunch Week.
I will supply you lunch, Judge, whatever you want.
All right, Judge.
I have a sandwich from my pocket from this morning still in my
I
pocket.
didn't
if you
get
want some
one
of that.
today yet, so it's okay.
Hey, Judge, you do know this is a local government month.
Yeah, right, okay.
You have the county credit card.
Something is, every month. Do want to, a person named Chad Buck here. Chad, you want to just stand for 1 second, will you? I'm going to call you. This is, Chad has provided information, and this is Olivia Tipton with him there. But Chad has come from Cass County, Missouri, and he's interested in data center issues, and he's been very helpful to me. And he's former, I believe you're former chairman of the Planning Commission there or something like that. And Cass County is a county similar to Oldham County outside Kansas City, Missouri.
We just experienced the same debate that your county's going through. We'd love to share some of that information. A little of our testimony, I come on behalf of the citizens of Gilly, Missouri. We've been through the same challenge. And this is one of the biggest pieces of legislation that you'll probably consider. And I would caution, I'd ask you to just take your time and do it right. And not hurt the trust bond of your community. We understand your job and we're thankful for the opportunity to get a chance to talk to you. We have passed good zoning regulations recently in our county that are now being adopted across many counties and other places in the country because they're restrictive, but they're fair. They're comprehensive and they're compatible. And I think ultimately here was the issue of compatibility and as these are these industrial sites and coming to your community. So just happy to share my testimony along the way of someone will be experiencing hopefully a positive result for your community.
All right, well, Chad, welcome to Oldham County. Glad you've come here. All right, I don't have much more to add today, really, other than I did want to address one comment was made this afternoon that's not true, and that is that someone may be personally benefiting. Sometimes people go on the internet and they have a keyboard and they say things they really haven't thought through. No one in the county government or in the Chamber of Commerce or whatever is benefiting from any business that comes to this community. We deal with them all fairly, and but there's no no back room of anything. And it sort of, be honest about it, it sort of hurts us as public officials to have someone actually think that about you, because it's just not the way it is. But if someone says that to you, please say, well, give me your facts and not your just assumptions, because we live here too, and we have been given our best to try to do a good job for our community, and appreciate the trust that people have put in us. And if we don't maintain that trust, well, then we have to be replaced, and we understand that. So anyway, thank you for coming today, and is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.